afternoon, everybody. Let's go ahead and begin today's City Council meeting. Today is Wednesday, July 20th, 2022. Good evening and welcome. Tonight's 5:30 p.m. Commencement and beginning of our closed session portion of tonight's calendar. At this time, are there any public comments?
No.
Having received none, Mr. City Manager, any updates?
Not for closed session, no.
Okay, very good. We'll now recess into our 5:30 closed session and report back at 7 p.m.
Can I take roll, Mayor?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, please.
Councilmember Sanchez? Here. Councilmember Ibarra?
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Here.
Councilmember Charette? Here. Councilmember Reynoso?
Here.
Councilmember Calvin?
Present.
Councilmember Alexander?
Here.
Mayor Valdivia?
Here. Thank you. All right. We'll return at 7 p.m. Thank you. Church to please lead us in tonight's invocation. And then I will lead our public in tonight's Pledge of Allegiance. Would you please stand and join us in prayer? Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor and Council, for allowing me to pray this evening. If you bow your heads and close your eyes with me. God Almighty, I pray your blessings upon this meeting. I pray that the blessings of unity and peace be here tonight. I pray that we feel your presence during this meeting. And Father, our leaders need your wisdom to build this city. You are creator of all things, my Lord. And I pray for Mayor Valdivia, City Council, and everyone here in attendance. Father, your word says right in Matthew 6:33, seeking the kingdom of God first and all his righteousness, and that all things shall be added unto you. So, before this meeting starts, we ask you first, let there be reverence during this meeting, let there be order during this meeting, and let there be peace during this meeting. Father, you take control of this meeting, for we know that it's needed here today. In Jesus' name, amen.
All right, ready, begin. I pledge allegiance
To the flag, United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you very much. Chaplain Paul Lujan of Victory Outreach Church, thank you very much for your ministry here to our community. And also, I want to send my deep appreciation to the Lujan family. Thank you very much for your prayers over the years. You visited me in the Mayor's Suite at City Hall, and we really appreciate our police chaplain corps for your ministry here in our community. At this time, I'll recognize the city clerk. Please to call the roll.
Councilmember Sanchez?
Here.
Councilmember Ibarra?
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Here.
Councilmember Charette? Here. Councilmember Reynoso?
Here.
Councilmember Calvin?
Present.
Councilmember Alexander?
Here.
And Mayor Valdivia?
Present. Thank you very much, Ms. City Clerk. At this time, I will ask our city attorney, please, to report out any findings.
Mayor, council members, and members of the public, we did have two closed session items this evening. While direction was given towards settlement, when those become final, they would be reportable, so we do not have any reportable action at this moment.
Thank you very much, Ms. City Attorney. At this time, we'll recognize our city manager, Mr. Field.
Thank you. Good evening. In lieu of the standard report that we give, there's no sense pretending that we did not have a fairly serious incident here in San Bernardino. We have prepared a brief on video of the occurrences that happened on Saturday, and so we would, in lieu of my report, we're going to go ahead and play the brief, which was prepared for us by our police chief, Darren Goodman. So, if we could please.
Hello, I'm Chief Darren Goodman with the San Bernardino Police Department. This video provides an overview of an officer-involved shooting that occurred in the city of San Bernardino. Our goal is to be transparent with the community and share as much information as possible when critical incidents occur. Due to the graphic nature of this video, viewer discretion is advised. On Saturday, July 16th, 2022, at approximately 8:05 p.m., two fully uniformed San Bernardino Specialized Investigation Unit officers were conducting follow-up in an unmarked vehicle after receiving information from a citizen informant that a black male adult armed with a handgun, was seen in the parking lot of a business located in the 400 block of West Highland Avenue. As officers arrived, they spotted two males, one of them clearly displaying a gun in his waistband. Additionally, a number of community members were walking and in their vehicles in the parking lot, as well as residents outside in their adjacent homes. One of the males, later identified as 23-year-old Rob Marquise Adams of San Bernardino, saw the officer's vehicle, pulled the gun from his waistband, and began walking toward the officer's car. The officers exited their vehicle and gave Adams verbal commands, but he immediately ran toward two parked vehicles with the gun in his right hand. Officers briefly chased Adams, but seeing that he had no outlet, they believed he intended to use the vehicle as cover to shoot at them. The officer saw Adams look over his left shoulder with the gun still in his right hand. Fearing that bystanders or the officers' lives were in danger, one of the officers fired his gun, striking Adams. Officers quickly rendered medical aid, and Adams was transported to a local hospital where he died as a result of his injuries.
Hey, bro, you're gonna be okay, man. Hey, you're gonna be okay. Stay with me, okay?
I don't want to get up, bro. You know it's gonna shoot me, bro.
We got Midi?
Just lay here in my hands
See if they can get a trauma kit too in the next unit.
The second subject was taken into custody and subsequently released without incident. Adams' gun, a black 9mm Taurus G3C with a round in the chamber and 10 rounds in the magazine, was recovered at the scene. Unfortunately, a surveillance video was released on social media prior to our department having the opportunity to review all available information and evidence. The video, which has been posted online, fails to provide critical details or context as to what actually occurred during the incident. Details like the specific location has a history of criminal activity, including an armed robbery involving Adams as a suspect, where he held several victims at gunpoint and was in possession of numerous firearms. Adams not only clearly possessed a firearm, but pulled it from his waistband and displayed it as he walked toward the officer's vehicle. There were numerous innocent bystanders in the immediate area. Adams was given commands by the uniformed police officers, which is confirmed by witness statements, including the male that was with Adams. The officers did not immediately engage him when he walked toward their vehicle, hoping that he would follow their commands and drop the gun. Adams had an extensive criminal history, was on felony probation for armed robbery, and had felony warrants for assault with a deadly weapon, possession of stolen property, and robbery. He had several other prior arrests, including a conviction for robbery. As I mentioned during our initial statement, we ask that the public and the media allow us to complete our investigation and obtain all of the facts available before rendering opinions. The San Bernardino Police Department is also conducting an administrative investigation to ensure that department policies and procedures were followed. The San Bernardino County District Attorney's Office responded to the scene and is conducting a parallel investigation, which is ongoing. The men and women of the San Bernardino Police Department work tirelessly to protect our community and our residents during a time when violent crime is on the rise. It is unfortunate that our efforts to keep the community safe through proactive police work occasionally results in encounters with armed felons. Our officers face this danger daily in an effort to help make San Bernardino a safer community.
Okay, thank you very much. That was our city manager's report, sir. Thank you very much. At this time, we will go into council announcements. I'm going to ask the public, please, to, if you could settle in and take a seat. We're conducting a public meeting, and we ask for your cooperation and assistance. Members of the public, if you would please grab a seat. Thank you very much. Our meeting is called to order, and we're asking for your cooperation, please. All right, at this time, we will go into our city council announcements. We'll start with Councilmember Alexander of the 7th District. Sir, you're recognized, and then we'll proceed down to our respective councils.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And good evening, San Bernardino. As we've known, we have a trying situation here in San Bernardino, so just want to let you know, recognize what I did during this period since we've been off. I attended the Curtain of Courage along with Councilmember Charette. It was about the terrorist attack. The county provided and did a memorial to those 14 people that lost their lives in December of 2015. If you haven't seen it, please go down to the county building and pay your respects. There's a lot of tension in the city right now. And you expect something to happen. Could someone hit that, could you hit that mic? Thank you. There's a lot of tension going on, and you guys want transparency. You want to see that something that's going to happen with the police department and your council. Whoever's in the back, can you shut up? Can you please seal the door? Officer?
I'm sorry, Mr. Alexander, hold on just a moment. I'm going to ask the public, members of the public, we are at capacity. If you would please find a seat. Our fire marshal, our fire officials are here, making sure that we have adequate safety for the clearance of our aisleways. So if members of the public, please, if you could please be seated, we'd appreciate that, and that would assist us. Mr. Alexander, you're recognized for the remainder and the balance of your time.
Thank you, sir. Like I was saying, this is a traumatic situation that's happened in our city. And the loss of life is tragic in any sense, no matter whether it's at the hands of officers or it's at the hands of someone else. But I want to be sure that the public understands that this is something that is not going to be swept underneath the carpet. It is something that is not going to go away. The council, the mayor and council is going to follow this particular situation until there is some resolve. This is not going to take as long until you forget. This is on the forefront of this mayor and council's agenda. It is important for us to follow this. It is important for us to continue to let you know what is going on, because no information is bad information. So with that being said, just be reassured that this is not going to go away. Answers are going to be had, things are going to be said, but you have to give us some time. I'm not asking for years. I'm not even, it's not like that. But trust me when I say we have a good department that's going to bring forth, because the council, the mayor and council is going to demand that. We're going to demand that transparency. We're not going to sit up here and not do that. They answer to, the police department, city manager answers to us, and we answer to you. And with that being said, by this room, you're going to get your answers, but you have to give us a moment. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you, sir. Councilmember Kim Calvin of the 6th Ward. Ma'am?
Good evening, members of the community. It is always excuse me, it's always a pleasure to have you fill the house. But of course, tonight, we're all feeling the heaviness that is within the city, amongst the heaviness that we usually might feel. But I'm happy to see you nevertheless, because what this states is that you are concerned community members. And this is what we need to make change and bring change to our city, is concerned community members. Concerned community members keep city council members accountable. They keep the city accountable. So with that being said, I won't repeat everything that Councilman Alexander has already stated, but understand this. Transparency is exactly what I ran on. That is my commitment to you. Tonight, I'm sitting here to remind you of that, to remind you that someone's life has been lost, and we've lost 53 lives in this city through homicides this year. Way too much, way too many. Every life is valuable. All 223,000 of us, our lives are valuable, including all the folks that work for us in this city as well. Their lives are valuable as well. But tonight, we want you all to know that there is an ongoing investigation. So you may not hear us continue to speak about this until that investigation has come to an end. The district attorney and whatever other agencies that we need to make sure that the investigation is thorough and complete, that is what we will call for. As elected officials, we do have that right to do that. And we will use that right. But tonight, members of the family that are here present with us, you have our condolences. To lose a child, to lose a family member is horrific. And you do have our condolences. The rest of us, we must remember to remain faithful. We must remember to remain hopeful. To work towards a better San Bernardino, it takes everybody. All agencies, all members of this body. And that is what we are striving and working towards, even when we come up against situations like these. My heart is heavy tonight. But I do guarantee you that we will continue to work towards providing a better, a safer San Bernardino, and one where everybody in this city feels valued and feels that the folks who you have elected value you. And so I thank you for coming out tonight, and continue to be concerned and engaged community members. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Councilmember Reynoso, sir.
Hi, everyone. I want to ask how you're doing, because I imagine how you're feeling. Here for multiple reasons. First, I want to send my condolences to Rob Adams' family. It's not an easy time. It's been an extremely difficult time to be a council member, coming from the background that I come from. It's one of those times where it felt like it's very clear why I'm here, but it's not clear about what I'm supposed to do. I don't control the police department. I don't control any department head. The city manager, the city attorney, and the city clerk answer to us as council members, but beyond that, everyone else answers to the city manager. And so we get information late. And so we find out about a shooting like this on the internet. And of course, I'm told and advised, because we're gonna get sued, I'm advised not to talk about it. My mother's here in the audience, my mother from Mississippi. You can imagine what our family history is like. You can imagine what this feels like seeing this on camera. I know he had a gun. Does that really matter if he's dead? What does justice look like for someone who is dead? What do you tell his mother? What do you tell his family? What if he had children? That feeling is what we're going to carry. And what are we supposed to do with that? Are we supposed to sit here and just expect things to just change by themselves? No. People elected me to change things. I grew up watching politicians say nothing, do nothing, and ultimately be nothing. So I came here to be you. When you look up on this dais, I hope that you see me. I hope that you see you. And I hope that you know that people actually care about you now. Because historically, it hasn't felt like that. I know I've never felt like that in my entire life. I didn't even want to run. When I was a young man in this city, I wanted to be a politician. And then life happened. I became an adult, and I realized, for what? And still, this city inspired me to run for office, to sit here, and to translate things that you felt like you would never get the answers to. And so that's what I'm doing. That's all I can do. And so I ask for your patience. Chief, I do wish you good luck. And I understand the role that you have to play in this. But ultimately, we've got a lot of questions about training practices, and I'm sure you do too, unfortunately, come to this department new. Training practices, is this how we operate? If we show up to a scene like that, is it normal for an unmarked car to be the first responder? How many informants do we have across the city? This is, sure, special investigations. I understand. But the reality is, when the autopsy comes out, ultimately, I imagine we'll see bullet holes in his back. And so my condolences again to Rob Adams' family. I have a heavy heart. I told my mom, you picked one hell of a meeting to come to. Yeah. But I hope we're doing it right. And second, I want to say thank you to everyone who came out for the Street Vendor and Day Labor Worker Center. It's time, right? It's long overdue. Long overdue. Long overdue. Everyone in this room, I imagine at one time or another, has purchased something from a street vendor. When you went to purchase that thing, did you ask if they had permits? No. But the reality is they didn't really have avenues to get the legal permits. So instead, they've been criminalized. I'm not afraid to say that. Sure, we have to do enforcement action, but I don't tell people to go arrest people and pick up carts. But they still are doing it in this city. And so it's time to educate, to create a space where people feel protected first and foremost, to get that information from a trusted person who they see themselves in. The same way that I hope that you can see me up here is that I hope that people come ultimately to see the Street Vendor and Day Labor Worker Center, which is done in other communities, come to fruition. So that at the end, ultimately, my dream, hypothetically seeing this, was that in the end, people would have a legal permit and the cart that they need to be up to county code as a graduation gift. We need to be funding entrepreneurship. That's what this is. People are painting it like it's a separate part of our society. You drive past them all the time. They're your neighbors. These are your friends. These are your family. These are people. Thank you. These are people. And so it's way past time. And I know I talk a lot, so I'll end there. But thank you for coming.
All right, thank you. Councilman Charette.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to pass on my announcements tonight.
Okay, very good, sir. Councilman Figueroa.
Thank you, sir. I was asked by the Rancho West Neighborhood Association to just announce that their next meeting will be, July 28th, Thursday at 6 p.m. The address is 445 South State Street, so that'll be their next meeting there. And also the Inland Empire Senior Games are going to be starting pretty soon as well. Let me get the dates. It'll be spread out through September 23rd through October 7th. There'll be a 5K, 10K walk run, a billiard tournament, bowling tournament, cornhole tournament, golf tournament, pickleball tournament, softball tournament, swimming tournament, tennis tournament, all kinds of different tournaments. And it's all on different dates. So for seniors, please, if you're interested, visit the Senior Services website for the City of San Bernardino. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councilmember Ibarra, Second Ward.
Thank you, Mayor. I will be speaking in English and Spanish. Voy a hablar en inglés y en español. Events that I was part of this past month were a lot of community meetings. For those who don't know, for example, we had the Carousel and Valencia Neighborhood Association meeting on July 13th, Wednesday, which was last week. Also, for those who don't know, we do have an Emprendedor graduation every 8 weeks in our city. This is money that us, the council members, are approving to educate those who wish to become street vendors in our city. We passed an ordinance back in 2019. We've had workshops. There should, if anything, I want to encourage anybody who wants to be a street vendor to please attend these courses. It's free at no charge to residents of the city of San Bernardino. Ahora voy a hablar en español. En nuestras vacaciones que tuvimos, tuvimos muchas juntas con la comunidad. Una que atendí fue en la Asociación de Vecinos de Paris Hill y de Valencia, la semana pasada, el miércoles. La semana pasada también, el julio 11, hubo una graduación del programa Emprendedor. La clase fue nosotros pusimos dinero hacia ese programa para cualquier persona que quiera ser un vendedor ambulante en nuestra ciudad. Estas son unas clases de 8 semanas gratis, sin costo a los residentes de la ciudad de San Bernardino. En el año 2019 aprobamos una ordenanza de cómo aplicar para ser vendedor legalmente en nuestra ciudad, desde el 2019. Yo los quiero dirigir. Bueno, quiero que se animen a tomar esos cursos con el Consulado de México. Son gratis, son de 8 semanas, nosotros pagamos por esas clases. Les enseñan de principio a final cómo ser su propio emprendedor. Tenemos oportunidades para ustedes. And then the last thing I want to say is my condolences to the family of the young man who lost his life. I, in the second ward, have become aware of several bodies also being dropped off around the second ward. They were killed somewhere else and dropped off around the second ward. So just know that we have a lot of people that we're losing in our city. También quiero decirles del crimen. Tuvimos un joven que ya perdimos la semana pasada. Pero en mi distrito solamente han visto varios cuerpos de personas fallecidas, asesinadas en otros lugares y dejadas en partes de mi distrito. Tenemos muchas vidas en peligro en nuestra ciudad. Les pedimos por favor unión. Estamos todos trabajando con ustedes. We're all working together, you guys. Do not see us as the enemy. We are here for all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Ted Sanchez, sir.
Yes, I want to talk about two things. So my district is kind of divided right down the middle by the 215 freeway, and there's good things happening on both sides of my district. So on the west side, Casa Ramona, the old community center campus, the historic community center campus on 7th Street, was tragically burned down. It's acres of smoldering pile of toxic waste that's been there for almost 2 years now. And there's been very little talk about it, but I've been working behind the scenes really hard with a former council member Esther Estrada, to find federal funding to clean that mess up. And I think we've been able to secure recently between Esther Estrada and city staff. I want to thank Cheryl, who helped me draft a letter that went to the granting agency, that we were able to be awarded several $1 million, not the city, but Casa Ramona, to clean up that mess. I know a lot of residents there really suffer in silence, and most times they don't get, they don't get to speak out here like other people do on certain issues. But that is something that is moving before us, and I'm hoping we can resolve that problem pretty soon. On the east side of my district, Seckham Lake, over the last 2 years, has been transformed. It is a beautiful park now, and it's a park that serves a community where the average household income is less than $20,000 a year. That's not individual income, that's household income. These people make very, very little money. They don't get to vacation in Europe in the summers, and they don't get to go skiing in the mountains in the winter. Without this park, they really don't have anything. And we received a threatening letter from the ACLU that they're upset that we've been able to clean that park up and give it back to the residents, again, who without this park don't have very much. And the reason I bring this up is because I think sometimes we need to remember the people in the middle, the people who suffer quietly. What I remember is in high school, I had an English teacher, and she had a class of 30, 40 students, and there was one student who was especially bad. He was in and out of, I think, juvenile hall, was in a lot of trouble, and the teacher made it her mission to try to save him. And that was honorable mission to do that, but she did it at the expense of the rest of the class. She ignored just about everyone else. And I remember once, and it scarred me, I think, because I remember once asking for help from her on an assignment. And she said, I don't have time for you. I'm working with this student who she was trying to save. And the rest of those students, the rest of the 31, 32 students suffered that year in that class because she ignored them. She ignored them because she was on this mission to save this one individual. And so I want you to know that I want to keep an eye on everyone. In my capacity as a council member here, I want to represent those people who come out here to speak their minds and want to advance their goals. But I'm also here for the people who quietly suffer at home in the poorest district of a very poor city in California. And so I'm here for you guys. And my number's out there. You can always reach out to me. I'm here to listen, and I'm here to try to fight for you guys. All right? That's it.
Thank you very much.
Mayor, I got one more comment.
Go ahead.
Okay, one more comment, I'm sorry. I don't see him here tonight, but I want to recognize Harry Hatch. Harry Hatch is not currently serving as a commissioner for our city, but he is a very involved resident of the city who wants the well-being of everybody in our city. I am going to be working diligently with our city staff to give him a proper recognition here at the City Council, because he helped us with the fireworks ordinance, something that was years in the planning and fixing. So if you, I'm not sure this year, but in previous years, recently, we have had less amounts of fireworks in our city. We have a huge enforcement going on, but nevertheless, we still have the fireworks, but we are working towards fixing that issue that we're having. And he's a great example of a citizen being engaged in our community. So I will be working, like I said, once again, closely with our city staff to properly recognize him at one of our council meetings. Thank you, Harry Hatch, for all that you're doing for us.
Okay, thank you. I want to encourage our San Bernardino community, those listening via YouTube and our audience. On Saturday, July 23rd at 7:30 p.m., I welcome all members of our San Bernardino community and our residents, business owners, to join us festivities at the San Bernardino International Airport. What a great opportunity to celebrate the first time ever commercial passenger air service. We'll have a beer garden, taco gardens, and a festive celebration. That's this Saturday, July 23rd at 7:30 p.m. at our San Bernardino International Airport. For more information and details, we ask members of the public please register and RSVP. There will be a concert and a closure of the, this will be the last time that will be able to walk the terminals before we hand over things to the TSA. So join us this Saturday, July 23rd, 7:30 p.m. at the San Bernardino International Airport. Lots of good fun there for the family, and we encourage your participation. Also on Thursday, August 4th of 2022, just about 3 weeks, we will be celebrating our first inaugural flight from San Bernardino International Airport to San Francisco International Airport, the first time ever commercial passenger air service. What a great honor it is. My wife and I and the children will be aboard the first flight, and it's an exciting opportunity to celebrate first time ever commercial passenger air service from San Bernardino International Airport. I want to encourage you, please buy your tickets on breezeairways.com. Go to flySBD.com. Let's support this great business opportunity. The impacts are substantial. Nearly $55 million of regional impact to our community and to this region because of this new commercial launch of passenger air service, and I'm really excited about that. At this time, we will reorder, at the request of our staff, the presentations of tonight's portion. We will then have a presentation and a recognition by Councilmember Reynoso. And then we will go into the public comment portion of tonight's council meeting. With that, I will turn it over to Councilmember Reynoso of the 5th District to recognize Citizen of the Month, Robert Segura.
So I know you've heard these before, and they read the really long script. Robert Segura, first and foremost, has been, well, I know him, I still respect and call him Mr. Segura, but Robert Segura has been a father figure in my life since I was about 14 years old. Me and his son just so happen to be best friends. We have been forever. And I always got to watch somebody who didn't talk a lot, but instead acted. And he served and helped people get back on their feet for years, worked here in the city. And Robert Segura is somebody who has always shown pride in the city of San Bernardino, has always made it known through his actions by what he contributes not only to his own yard, but to his neighborhood, about the importance of actually giving a damn about where you live. And he's been somebody who has taught me a lot of discipline through action, by watching him, by watching how he is with his family, how he's so loving, incredible grandfather now, and he's been a great father to not only his son, but to me as an extended son. And so I want to acknowledge Mr. Robert Segura, if he'd come up here. He's a man of few words. I told him he didn't have to say much, he didn't have to say anything if he doesn't want to, but I want to acknowledge Robert Segura. As July 2022's Citizen of the Month for the city of San Bernardino.
I just want to dedicate this to all the citizens of San Bernardino, hardworking to keep this community and this city great, and for the betterment of the city. God bless the residents of San Bernardino.
Okay, congratulations, Mr. Segura. Thank you for your commitment to our community, and we appreciate you, and thank you. At this time, we will now transition to the public comment of tonight's meeting agenda, and the cutoff time has been so stipulated at 7:15. In-person speakers will be heard first, followed by remote speakers. We will have two speaker podiums available, so when I call your name, if you would please stand in the bullpen on the wall, please. That way we can transition in a more expeditious and fast manner. We will go with agenda comments, comments on the agenda first, and then we will have our business calendar. There's several business calendar items on tonight's calendar, and then we will then transition to items not on the agenda. So I have them marked accordingly. So items on the agenda will be first, business calendar and session for second, and then we'll transition to items not on the agenda, which will be at the tail end of this meeting. At this time, in-person speakers will be heard first, followed by remote speakers. If you're speaking remotely, please mute any devices to avoid feedback, and the city clerk will then call you once upon you're recognized. At the end of the verbal public comments, our city clerk will then read any written comments per their ADA accommodation and request. At this time, we will go ahead and call members of the public. Sue Stevens, Mike Hartley, Sean, that's all I have, Sean, Ward 2, and David McCamick and Ruth from Pancho Vegans. Sue Stevens, you're up. Leslie Stevens, welcome. Followed by Mark Hartley, Sean, and David McCamick. Stevens?
I'm Leslie Stevens. I'm a board member for the San Bernardino Area Chamber of Commerce. Honorable Council, on June 30th, the San Bernardino Area Chamber of Commerce was honored and privileged to present our 44th Law Enforcement Recognition Dinner at the Elks Club in San Bernardino, where the dedication and bravery shown by officers by the California Highway Patrol, the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department, the San Bernardino County Police Department, the San Bernardino Community College District Police Department, the San Bernardino Unified School District Police Department, the San Bernardino County District Attorney's Office, and the San Bernardino Police Department K-9 unit was honored for their dedication to the community they serve and the bravery and integrity. It was nice to see Council Member Sanchez, Shores, Figueroa, the city manager and his staff, and of course the mayor in attendance. In light of the tragic events this past weekend, the Chamber of Commerce wholly supports our Chief of Police, Darren Goodman, and requests that the City Council do the same in backing an individual who has demonstrated over time that he is a man of honor. Chief Goodman is committed to justice and the truth, staunchly loyal to both his community he serves and the officers he leads. San Bernardino is indeed fortunate to have a police chief with such a fine reputation and proven integrity. We anticipate that the San Bernardino Police Department's investigation and the independent investigation by the District Attorney's Office will be allowed to proceed and that justice will ultimately prevail. The Chamber of Commerce is inspired by the transparency upon the final results and the investigation before making any conclusions which may have a negative impact upon all stakeholders in our city. We also ask that the San Bernardino community wait upon final results of the investigation before forming any conclusions which may have a negative impact upon all stakeholders in our city. The Chamber would also like to let you know we will be having grand openings at 2 new businesses, City Way, the PAC Center, Saturday, June 30th, 9:30 a.m. at 1650 South East Street, Suite E, where festivities until 2 p.m., and the Nurses Pub, Thursday, August 4th, 468 West 5th Street.
Thank you, Ms. Stevens.
Thank you.
Thank you. Correction, is that July 30th? You said June 30th.
Yes, it's June. It's July. I'm
July
sorry.
30th, okay.
And the dog show's coming back for 5 more years.
Thank you.
And now we're stealing business.
All right, let's move on to Mike Hartley, followed by Sean, David McCamick, please.
Mr. Reynoso, since your mother is here tonight, I will speak to you in 2 weeks to save her from what I have to say to you. I am here tonight, one, to talk about the Planning Commission okaying more apartments on Sterling. I have talked about apartments in San Bernardino before. We need a moratorium on apartments, not build more. More apartments means we need more police and we need more code enforcement, and that is something we don't have. So I'm against these apartments. I'm against all apartments. All apartments. And if we need to take some down, then let's take some down. And the next thing, in my neighborhood, a girl, Kazara Banks, a black girl, 22 years old, with a 1-year-old child, had her brains blown out across the street from my house. That, to me, is also sad. All the murders in this city are sad. So we need more police, not less. And every time the police do something, they don't need to be criticized. That's all I got to say.
Thank you, sir. Our next speaker is Sean. Sean here?
I'm reading for Sean. She's my constituent.
Okay.
Can I, City Attorney, can I read from here? Or do I need? Okay.
Go ahead. You're recognized for 3 minutes. Go ahead.
Thank you. Dear City Council, as a resident of the city, I wish to thank the San Bernardino Police Department and San Bernardino City Code Enforcement for checking the sidewalk vendors for the proper permits per our city ordinance. Curious as to the permitting process.
I'm sorry, Ms. Ibarra. Is this items for after the agenda? We'll be happy to read that after when we call on you.
No, this you guys had for the work center, not for the happenings.
I'm going to recognize it as items not on the agenda, and that will be after the meeting, and we'll be happy to read that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, Mr. McCamick, David McCamick, followed by Ruth and Wendy McCamick. Mr. McCamick.
Okay, before I speak, I would like to give a copy of this to the city manager. This is on item 3, and it's regarding officers of the SBPOA regulations. Renegotiations, I'm sorry. Okay, I come to you tonight as a concerned citizen, property owner, and a resident whose business has been here since 1983, in the same area and the same city, 39 years. I used to, with my employees, across the street, go bowling, banking, eating, party, and buy ice cream, buy hardware, clothes, and shoes, all on Highland Avenue. Today, west of Highland Avenue, there is major banking like Bank of America, Chase Bank, Wells Fargo, restaurants, George's, El Pollo Logo, McDonald's, KFC, Subway, Burger King, and other mom-and-pop businesses. And the past few days has been the final straw. Again, there's been a shooting on Highland Avenue. I'm sure you are not shocked, as murder is almost an everyday occurrence, making it nearly impossible to give customers a feeling of security and safety. Our main problem, as I see it, is that we have too many illegal pot shops, dispensaries. The law is you must have a city and state license, and it cannot be within 600 feet of a residence, schools, parks, or churches, yet they are currently existing all over the city illegally within those boundaries, all 97 of them. And the lack of revenue, and they're all fighting for territory. And the lack of revenues are clearly, the illegal dispensaries do not add to the city coffers. So desperately needed to protect the public. We need those city coffers to overcome some of the problems that we have, as you see. I need a response from everyone on the diocese, including the city manager, police chief, and city attorney, and elected officials, as to whether continuing to ignore these lawbreakers is a declaration of our oath of office.
Thank you, sir.
Office, and as many others as in this town say
Thank you,
yes.
Mr. McCamick. Thank you.
Do I hear a yes?
Your time is up,
Do you
sir.
understand the law?
Mr. McCamick?
I'm asking you, do you understand the law?
Mr. McCamick, your time
Do
is
you
up.
understand the law? I'm just asking a question.
Yes. Thank you, sir.
Do all of you understand the law?
Our next speaker is Ruth.
I'm pissed.
And followed by Wendy McCamick. Okay, is Ruth here? Ruth? Is that you, ma'am? Okay, great. Thank you. Followed by Wendy McCamick and Doug Cameron.
Hi, my name is Ruth. I am the owner of Pancho Vegans. I am here for my inner 8-year-old little girl. I have been street vending. My dad is here. He has taught me everything I know. I'm here for my community, for my people, for my raza. We are not criminals. We are vendors. We are people trying to feed our families. Thank you. Enough is enough of criminalizing. We are here to stand up for ourselves. We need a resource center. I understand the dangers of street vending. I've been in the food industry. I've also been in a suit and coat just like you. I'm speaking to every single one of you. I am tired of walking in shame. I am here with my head held up high to speak before you guys and for all these people who do not have a voice. I am done with it. We need a resource center. I know the dangers of it, but that's why we need to educate people. I was able to receive my TFF permit. I was able to pop up because I had the help of another fellow comrade. Just Vegana taught me what I had to do. Why can't we teach? Why can't we uplift our community instead of shaming them? These people, all they have is their taco carts, and you send people out to take them away from them? How are they supposed to feed their family? Let's approve them with the proper equipment. Let's teach them. Let's help them. I would love to help anybody learn the resources, find websites, and be here for them. Esto es para mi gente. No es para que estemos criminalizándonos, que nos vean como personas que nos estén arrestando. Somos familia, somos padres, somos hijos y estamos aquí por nuestros derechos.
Thank you. Wendy McCamick. Ms. McCamick, followed by Doug Cameron and Gary Young. Ms. McCamick?
Item number 3 is related to SBPOA negotiations, SBPOA and other bargaining unit negotiations. I'm former Councilwoman Wendy McCamick, who fought for public safety from the beginning. 40 years between our two businesses on the same street. We spend the lion's share of our time on Highland Avenue. No one funded our entrepreneurship 39 years ago. Through blood, sweat, and tears, we have succeeded to this day. Buildings are paid off. Long story. This past spring, we saw 2,400 tax clients in our office. Many of them local residents and constituents of every single one of you. The crime issue recently has been percolating for quite some time, and we all know it. This is the worst it has been since the early 90s. 53 by halfway through the year is unacceptable. To continue to allow illegal dispensaries to operate, which attracts gangs, robberies, guns, and murder, is unacceptable. Not only is it unacceptable, it's against the law. To continue to allow those to operate will just continue to degrade the neighborhoods for which and from which many of you live. We personally know, too, how to and did obtain a legal dispensary license. Yes, it was expensive, very bureaucratic, took a very long time, but so should everyone else be required to if we did. There is no revenue to be had by the illegal dispensaries, but a major drain on resources, as we all know. To allow them to operate within 600 feet of schools, churches, or parks is, again, unacceptable and should not be tolerated. Some of you electeds have abdicated your authority to the city manager. With all due respect, Mr. City Manager, however, he cannot be held accountable by the voters. Let me say that again. He cannot be held accountable by the voters. You all can be. And you all know that I was held accountable by the voters. At this point, Mr. Alexander, your constituents' lives depend upon this fix. Not your platitudes, not your photo ops. Chief Goodman, welcome, sir. What is the plan citywide? We pray for you, and we pray for the families of the victims of the city of San Bernardino.
Okay, thank you. Doug Cameron. Doug, Mr. Cameron, welcome, sir. Go ahead. Gary Young, followed by Casey Daly, Fanelli Milan, and Alejandro Rodriguez. As I call your name, if you would please do us a favor and stand up, and let's get going here. Mr. Cameron, go ahead.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you this evening. I'm also here to discuss item number 3 on the agenda having to do with the SPPOA negotiations. I know that in reviewing the agenda tonight, it appears that there is a lot of business as usual taking place by this council. What we're seeing taking place in this community is no longer business as usual. I moved to this community in 2017. Within a year, my automobile was destroyed, parked in front of my office, by a 19-year-old drug dealer who was never given a ticket or citation. He destroyed 3 automobiles. I was denied an opportunity to receive any type of victim assistance, even as a senior citizen, because the San Bernardino County District Attorney refused to prosecute this individual for a crime. It's okay in San Bernardino to destroy property of other people. There is no criminal offense. I've spoken recently with members of the San Bernardino Police Department, the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department, the California Highway Patrol. I speak with security guards that work all night trying to protect the gas stations that are open 24 hours a day and are privy to watching vans bringing members of street homeless and destitute people from northern California cities and dropping them off in the communities of Rialto, Fontana, and San Bernardino on a regular basis. You can speak to these people that work at night and they can tell you what takes place in this community at night, which I suggest all of you take some time to do. In 2017, I live in the area near where the shooting took place Saturday. 2017, I could walk to the coffee shop in the morning without having to worry about being run down in the intersection while trying to cross the street by a kid driving a hot car 50 to 100 miles an hour through the traffic intersection against the light. That's normal occurrence. And speaking with the law enforcement people here, their perception is they're wasting their time trying to enforce the law because the San Bernardino County District Attorney will not prosecute. It's a revolving door. You pick them up, you take them off, you drop them off. We're sitting trying to have breakfast in the morning watching people defecate and urinate all over the streets of Highland and Baseline. It's a disgrace. This community stinks. Leave town for 2 or 3 days. Come back in town. The first thing you notice is the community stinks. It has a stench about it. I would recommend to you that you pass a resolution and send it to the San Bernardino District Attorney and suggest that he begin enforcing the law. Number 2, you have a fortune that you're spending on vehicles driving around San Bernardino City, brand spanking new. I would recommend that you take the money, instead of spending it on new vehicles, you put it in traffic control systems with video cameras.
Thank you, sir. Your time is up. Thank you. Casey Daly, followed by Gary Young. Mr. Daly, you're recognized. Go ahead.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. My name is Casey Daly. I live at 144 East 3rd Street in downtown. I'm actually here tonight, and it's a heavy meeting, probably on the lightest item then, but I do want to talk about item number 4, which is the consideration for the demolition of Carousel Mall. I've lived and owned my property for over 10 years in downtown, and I drive past Carousel Mall every day, whether I'm getting on the freeway or going anywhere. And we've been waiting and waiting and waiting for something to happen. And we've talked about transformation and transforming San Bernardino for a long time. The only way that we can really transform downtown is through a physical transformation, and that's got to include the demolition of the mall. It's got to go. We've got to start from scratch. We've got to have the shopping, the vending, all of those opportunities in downtown. That's how we can start to actually make some progress in our city. So with that, thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Gary Young. Gary, are you here? Gary Young. All right, let's move on to Finelli Milan, Alejandra Rodriguez, Yenny Ruiz, are you here? Okay, we'll move on. Brian Sanchez. Brian, are you here? Brian? Okay, let's go ahead. Okay, let's go ahead and get him in. Brian Sanchez and Olga Flores. Go ahead, ma'am.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor Valdivia, members of the council, city staff, and community members. My name is Vanelli Milan. I'm the IE community organizer for the Pomona Economic Opportunity Center, and I'm also a concerned community member. I'm here to submit an 844 signatures in support of item 36. I would like to file that now, if I may do so. Thank you. Also, how do we get here? Brief recap. We understand that the fight for a worker center began in November of 2021 when close to 25 day laborers and street vendors were targeted by the San Bernardino Police Department operation. Many were ticketed, some had their work vehicles impounded, and at least one person was arrested. However, we have to recognize that this struggle goes back to 2019. And we would not be here today talking about the possibility of a worker center had it not been for street vendors organizing and demanding respect for their rights in these past years. A few months ago, we met with Councilmember Ibarra and the representative of the corner where the police operation happened, the corner where our workers gathered for work. We also met with Councilmember Ben Reynoso, who helped us add this to the agenda. Thank you, Councilmember Reynoso, for your support. Also, last week, we met with San Bernardino city officials to do a walkthrough our main office in Pomona. And lastly, last week, we also met with Councilmember Alexander, and we look forward to creating an inclusive environment for all community members to benefit from our worker center. We listened to your feedback and we are considering that. I just want to, once again, I want to thank you for your support, and we look forward to working with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. City Manager, I have a question for staff. Is the 8 o'clock, it is the 8 o'clock hour. Are these public hearings noticed for 8 o'clock? Public hearing, items 6 through 11.
They can't be heard before 8 o'clock, I believe. So they're noticed for 8 o'clock or anytime thereafter.
Oh, is that a yes or no? I just need to know if they're noticed for 8 o'clock.
Noticed for 8 o'clock.
They are?
Or anytime thereafter.
Okay, all right. Let's go ahead and go into public hearing mode then, sensing that they are noticed for 8 o'clock. Let's go ahead and begin. These are items number 6, public hearing on annexation number 17 to Community Facilities District 2019-1. The recommendation is there before you. It's a six-fold recommendation. I ask that the public patiently wait. We do have a public hearing on this item. The public hearing is to consider annexation proceedings and elections for City of San Bernardino Community Facilities District number 2019-1 maintenance services. And the annexation number 17 here is now open. Do any of the council members wish to hear the staff report? Hearing none and seeing none. Do any members of the council have any questions of staff or wish to make any comments? We will now receive comments, protests, and questions from any persons in the audience who wish to speak and address this matter on item number 6. Each person may address the city council for a maximum of 3 minutes. Please submit your speaker's slip to the city clerk. Are there any members of the city audience here in our auditorium wishing to address on item number 6? Seeing none and sensing that there is no public comment, we will move on. Ms. City Clerk, is there any written protests?
There are, I have received 0 written protests.
Okay, Madam City Clerk, are there any persons registered to vote within annexation number 17 of Community Facilities District 2019-1? If so, how many registered voters are there?
The County of San Bernardino Register of Voters has certified that there are no registered voters within annexation number 17 of Community Facilities District number 2019-1.
The time being approximately 8:04 p.m., I now declare the public hearing closed. May I now have a motion of the members of the City Council to adopt resolution number 2022-106 of the Mayor and City Council of the City of San Bernardino?
Move to approve.
Second.
A motion by Charette with a second by Figueroa of the calling of an election to submit to the qualified electors a question of levying special tax within the area proposed to be annexed to Community Facilities District number 2019-1. The motion is as read into the record by Charette and Figueroa on the motion in the second. Are there any further discussion from members of the council? Otherwise, Ms. City Clerk, any objections to this? Any members of the City Council wishing to register a objection?
Mayor, for these items, we have to do a voice vote.
Okay, very good. If you would, please call the roll.
Councilmember Sanchez? Yes. Councilmember Ibarra?
Yes.
Just one moment, please. Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes.
Councilmember Charette?
Yes.
Councilmember Reynoso?
Yes.
Councilmember Kelvin?
Yes.
Councilmember Alexander?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. May I have a motion now to adopt the resolution number 2022-107 of the Mayor and City Council of the City of San Bernardino, California, declaring the election results from the annexation of Community Facilities District number 2019-1 of Maintenance Services, annexation number 17. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Ibarra with the second by Mayor Pro Tem Figueroa. Any final further discussion points from members? The city clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Sanchez? Yes. Councilmember Ibarra?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes.
Councilmember Charette? Yes. Councilmember Reynoso?
Yes.
Councilmember Calvin?
Yes.
Councilmember Alexander?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, thank you. Now, I would now ask for a motion to waive further reading and introduce by title ordinance number MC-1582 of the Mayor and City Council of the City of San Bernardino, California, amending the ordinance number MC-1522 and levying special taxes to be collected during the fiscal year 22-23 to pay the annual cost of the maintenance and servicing of landscaping, street sweeping, lighting, water quality improvements, graffiti, street sweeping, parks and trail maintenance, a reserve fund for capital replacement and improvements, and the administrative expenses thereof with respect to the City of San Bernardino Community Facilities District number 2019-1. Is there a motion? Motion. Motion by Charette, second by Mayor Pro Tem Figueroa. Any final comments or questions? If not, call the roll.
Councilmember Sanchez?
Yes.
Councilmember Ibarra?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes.
Councilmember Charette?
Yes.
Councilmember Reynoso?
Yes.
Councilmember Calvin?
Yes.
Councilmember Alexander?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, very good. At this time, we have now concluded item number 6. And for the record, Ms. City Attorney and others and viewing audience, I do have a conflict on the following items, and I will introduce those orally as we speak. And those conflicts, I will leave the room and delegate authority to our Mayor Pro Tem in my stead. Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, upon conclusion, if you just text me back, then I'll come back in session. The items are as follows. Item number 7, item number 8, item number 10, item number 11, consent calendar items number 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, due to campaign contributions.
Okay, we'll move on to item number 7. This is the public hearing to consider annexation proceedings and elections for City of San Bernardino Community Facilities District number 2019-1. Annexation number 20 is now open. Do any council members wish to hear the staff report? Hearing none. Do any members of the council have any questions of staff or wish to make any comments? Hearing none. We will now receive comments, protests, and questions from any persons in the audience who wish to speak on this matter. Each person may address the City Council for a maximum of 3 minutes. Please submit your speaker slip to the City Clerk. Has the City Clerk received any written protests?
I have received 0 written protests.
Okay. Madam City Clerk, are there any persons registered to vote within the annexation number 20 of Community Facilities District number 2019-1? If so, how many registered voters are there?
The County of San Bernardino Registrar of Voters has certified that there are no registered voters within annexation number 20 of the Community Facilities District number 2019-1.
Okay. I now declare the public hearing closed, the time being 8:10 p.m. May I have a motion to adopt resolution number 2022-1-116 of the Mayor and City Council of the City of San Bernardino, California, calling an election to submit to the qualified electors the question of levying a special tax within the area proposed to be annexed to Community Facilities Districts number 2019-1. Motion by Councilmember Charette.
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Ibarra. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll ask for the vote. Ms. City Clerk.
Councilmember Sanchez?
Yes.
Councilmember Ibarra?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes.
Councilmember Charette?
Yes.
Councilmember Reynoso?
Yes.
Councilmember Calvin?
Yes.
Councilmember Alexander?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. May I have a motion to adopt resolution number 2022-117 of the Mayor and City Council of the City of San Bernardino, California, declaring election results for Community Facilities District number 2019-1. Motion by Councilmember Charette.
I'll second.
Seconded by Councilmember Ibarra. Is there any further discussion? None. Ms. City Clerk, please, we have the vote.
Really quickly, I need to read this section. The official ballots have been open and all votes are in favor of the proposition presented on the ballot, and the election is now closed. Now calling the vote, Councilmember Sanchez,
Yes.
Councilmember Ibarra,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem,
Yes.
Councilmember Surratt,
Yes.
Councilmember Reynoso,
Yes.
Councilmember Calvin,
Yes.
Councilmember Alexander.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. I would now ask for a motion to waive further reading and introduce by title only an ordinance number MC-1586 of the Mayor and City Council of the City of San Bernardino, California, amending ordinance number MC-1522 and levying special taxes to be collected during fiscal year 2022 through 2023 to pay the annual cost of the maintenance and servicing of landscaping, lighting, water quality improvements, graffiti streets, street sweeping, parks, and trail maintenance. A reserve fund for capital replacement and administrative expenses with respect to the City of San Bernardino Community Facilities District number 2019-1. Is there a motion? Motion by Councilmember Charette, seconded by Councilmember Ibarra. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to the vote.
Councilmember Sanchez,
Yes.
Councilmember Ibarra,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem,
Yes.
Councilmember Surratt,
Yes.
Councilmember Reynoso,
Yes.
Councilmember Calvin,
Yes.
Councilmember Alexander.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. We'll now move on to item number 8. The public hearing to consider annexation proceedings and elections for City of San Bernardino Community Facilities District number 2019-1. Annexation number 23 is now open. Do any council members wish to hear the staff report? Hearing none. Do any members of the council have any questions of staff or wish to make any comments? Hearing none. We will now receive comments, protests, and questions from any persons in the audience who wish to speak on this matter. Each person may address the City Council for a maximum of 3 minutes. Please submit your speaker slip to the City Clerk. Has the City Clerk received any written protest?
I have not received any written protests.
Okay, Ms. City Clerk, are there any persons registered to vote within the annexation number 23 of Community Facilities District number 2019-1? If so, how many registered voters are there?
The County of San Bernardino Registrar of Voters has certified that there are no registered voters within annexation number 23 of Community Facilities District number 2018-1.
Okay, thank you. I now declare the public hearing closed, the time being 8:13 p.m. May I have a motion to adopt resolution number 2022-118 of the Mayor and City Council of the City of San Bernardino, California, calling an election to submit the qualified electors the question of levying a special tax within the area proposed to be annexed to Community Facilities District number 2019-1. Is there a motion? A motion by Councilmember Ibarra.
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Charette. Is there any further discussion? No, hearing none, we'll proceed to the vote.
Councilmember Sanchez,
Yes.
Councilmember Ibarra.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes.
Councilmember Surratt.
Yes.
Councilmember Reynoso.
Yes.
Councilmember Calvin.
Yes.
Councilmember Alexander.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you very much.
The official ballots have been opened and all votes are in favor of the proposition presented on the ballot, and the election is now closed.
Thank you. May I have a motion to adopt resolution number 2022-119 of the Mayor and City Council of the City of San Bernardino, California, declaring election results for Community Facilities District number 2019-1. Is there a motion?
Move it.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Charette, seconded by Councilmember Alexander. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote.
Councilmember Sanchez,
Yes.
Councilmember Ibarra,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem,
Yes.
Councilmember Surratt,
Yes.
Councilmember Reynoso,
Yes.
Councilmember Calvin,
Yes.
Councilmember Alexander.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. I would now ask for a motion to waive further reading and introduce by title only an ordinance number MC-1587 of the Mayor and City Council of the City of San Bernardino, California, amending ordinance number MC-1522 and levying special taxes to be collected during fiscal year 2022 through 2023 to pay the annual costs of the maintenance and servicing of landscaping, lighting, water quality improvements, graffiti, streets, street sweeping, parks, and trail maintenance, a reserve fund for capital replacement and administrative expenses with respect to City of San Bernardino Community Facilities District number 2019-1. Is there a motion?
Move approval.
Motion by Councilmember Charette.
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember, I think it was Alexander, I heard. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to the vote.
Councilmember Sanchez,
Yes.
Councilmember Ibarra,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem,
Yes.
Councilmember Surratt,
Yes.
Councilmember Reynoso,
Yes.
Councilmember Calvin,
Yes.
Councilmember Alexander.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. And then I believe the other one he said was number 10. So we'll move to number 10 and then followed by number 11. Let me see here. Give me 1 second. All right. I am opening the public hearing at 8:16 p.m. Could I get a, are we going to get a staff report on this item? Okay. Are we done with public hearing, or is this part of public hearing?
This is not one of the annexation public hearings,
So then,
but it is one of the items that the mayor had a conflict with.
is this part of public hearing or not? It is? Okay, it is. Okay.
I believe we're going in the order that the mayor had listed his
All right,
conflicts.
and then he'll return for item number 10, I believe, right?
Item 9.
Or item 9, I'm sorry, my apologies. All right, let's please have the staff report on this item. Or unless, okay, then we'll just wait for 10. This is for Warmington Homes, Palm Avenue Project, Ward 4.
Yes, good evening, council members. The item before you is a general plan amendment and zone change. Change the designation from general commercial to medium residential. It's for property containing approximately 15 acres. It's to allow for the construction of 133 single-family residences that will be detached. It's on Highland Avenue at Palm Avenue. This is a quick site plan or showing an aerial of the property. Again, this is the decided commercial district that will be changed to residential. The view of the site. Again, we have 3 different floor plans. We have 3 different elevations. The square footages range from approximately 1,600 to 2,500 square feet, 3 to 5 bedrooms. This below what would be allowed by the density of the zone. The allowable zone and the density in the RM zone is 12 units. They're being proposed at 9 units per acre. They have approximately 691 square feet of private open space. The common open space is about 164 square feet. There was a mitigated negative declaration that was done and vetted for this project, so we complied with the CEQA requirements. This is the site plan showing the homes. The colors indicate the different styles, floor plan models, if you will. We have the various floor plans. We have some elevations. This is the landscaping plan showing throughout. We have got a kind of pocket park towards the entrance on the far right of the slide. These are some renderings of the view from the street. Again, this will be a gated community, so it'll be a private entrances, private street. With that, our recommendations is to adopt the resolution certifying the mitigated negative declaration, the ordinance approving the development code amendment to change the zoning, and also the resolution approving the project, and schedule the item for the next hearing. Thank you. I'd be glad to answer any questions. The applicant is also here if you have questions.
Okay. Do we have any requests to speak on this item? Does anyone wish to speak on this,
Yes.
on this item?
I need a.
No, give me, from the public. My apologies. Do we have a? I don't have the slips with me, so I don't know.
We did not receive any for this.
We have one, gentleman.
And we also received some emails from residents asking about the Warmington Homes projects.
Those were provided to you as and the council, and they're posted on the city's website.
Okay.
Sir, if we could have your, I don't know if he has to be sworn in or what the protocol is for public hearings. Or if, but you're speaking on this item, correct?
I tried to get in here earlier, but I wasn't allowed to get in here because the room was overcrowded. I just got in here a few minutes ago.
That's fine.
And I wanted to speak about this property.
Please go ahead, and then we'll collect your speaker slip for
I own a
record
piece of
purposes.
property across the street and just down the block from this, more closely down by, near the florist shop, across from Patton. Now, I did the math on this particular development. They want to build 133 homes on this site, and there's 14.7 acres on this property. If you do the math, 133 homes into 14.7 acres, that means they're going to be building homes on 4,814 square foot lots, because there's a total of 640,333 square feet total of the, if you take the 14.7 acres and multiply it out by 43560. That's really small lots. So they must be building these in clusters from the pictures of this. To me, this is nothing more than building a new slum in our neighborhood. Now, they may be making this a gated community, but to me, this is nothing more than a new slum here in the city of San Bernardino. I've owned a piece of property and many pieces of property in this community. I've been not a resident here in the city of San Bernardino, but I've owned property here since 1985. And when you're building something this small with these size of homes that they're now showing you, this is going to be a new compact neighborhood, just very similar to what we just got rid of down on Highland Avenue in Arden. So I just see this as a future slum coming in the next 20 years. We're going to have the same problem that we had down at Highland Avenue in Arden. We got rid of one slum, and this is just going to become a new future slum. I don't want it. It's too much of a compact neighborhood in our community. We don't need it. I'm sorry. They may be thinking, oh, well, this is a great development. Well, Mr. Warmington can go live in it for the next 20 years. But this is going to become a new slum in our community. I don't want it. Get lost. We don't need 1,500 and 1,800 and 2,000 square foot homes with 133 homes in 14 acres. He can build a standard size home and on 7,000 square foot lots. We don't need two-story homes. This is not a neighborhood where we have two-story homes now. We have single-family homes, single-story homes. We just don't need 133 homes on 14.7 acres. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Could we please collect the speaker slip for the record? Sir, did you have your little speaker slip so that we could collect it for the record? Thank you, sir. Any other speakers on this item? Seeing none, we'll just go ahead and open it up to council members if you have any. Actually, I'm sorry. I am now closing the public hearing at 8:24 p.m. for deliberation and action. Do we have a motion or any questions or comments?
Yes, I read the comments that we were emailed, and they talked about they were going to be using vinyl fencing to separate the properties and delineate the boundaries of the project area. Is that the case?
No, the perimeter of the project and the entry areas, that'll be with split face, double-sided.
Okay.
The inside, between the properties, that is going to be vinyl. That is proposed at vinyl right now.
Okay. Well, I'd make it a condition for approval that they put the cinder block split face as the dividers for the property or the parcels. It's a policy we've been implementing through our planning commission, and I think it's a good policy. I know that for the developer it'll be cheaper to put the vinyl fencing, but we want properties that are gonna hold their value, and that will be quality properties 20 years from now. So I would make that a condition of my approval. So I'd make that amendment.
I'll second that.
I have a question. Yeah, and also it says that there's no open space. There's no playground in the open space.
Like this one?
I don't know. I'm just getting.
No, that's
Okay.
the common open space for the project.
Okay. 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 Then Roger that. Then I appreciate that, and I concur with Councilmember Sanchez. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do we have the applicant here tonight?
Yes,
to
we
see
do.
if we have agreement with that?
The applicant's
That request.
representative, Moses Kim.
Okay.
And one more question.
Good evening, council members. My name is Moses Kim with Warmington. We would be open to cinder block. We'll work with staff on the type of block for the side yards and the rear yards within the community. But like Oliver had mentioned, the entire perimeter will be double-sided split face. And so we'll make sure we work with staff on that. Yeah.
So it sounds as though we do have agreement on both sides. Any other, I think Councilmember Ibarra, you had a question?
And then just to clarify for Mr. Warmington's rep, I know the constituents who live near these properties, proposed properties, they were asking, in my opinion, they look like townhomes. Can you confirm that they would be the townhomes, right? Not apartments, not, because it's saying single-family residence.
So there's two products. The northerly side will be your standard, traditional, single-family, 2 stories. And along the southern side of the project, as you can see, it's a cluster product. So they're detached single-family homes, but they have shared alley courts as they park their garages. You've probably seen some of those kind of projects happening recently in newer communities. That's what we're doing here.
Okay, and then one of the constituents that spoke right now, he talked about it being impacted. Was a study done on the parking and entering and exiting the property?
We have traffic consultants, environmental consultants who's done some extensive study on parking. There's actually a lot more parking here than most other communities. Those streets down in the middle have parking. There will be parking around the kind of like the circular drive alley there. And each home will have a 2-car garage. And the ones along the northerly side, the traditional homes, will have driveways where you can park 2 additional cars.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And I'm trying to see visitor parking. Do you have anything for visitor parking?
Visitor parking, yes. We have parking spaces right at the common area on the right side, right as you drive in through the gates. There's also parking, I believe, back in the corner there. I can't see how. I think there's approximately 12 or 13 spaces at the common area. And there are some parking sporadically, just kind of spread out. There are some head-in spaces as well, so.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, no more questions. Any other council members wishing to speak? I believe, did we have a motion in a second?
Yes, by Councilmember Sanchez, seconded by Councilor Reynoso, with the added condition that the cinder blocks be used as dividers for the parcels.
Okay, we'll go ahead and proceed to the vote.
Councilmember Sanchez?
Yes.
Councilmember Ibarra?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes.
Councilmember Charette?
No.
Councilmember Reynoso?
Yes.
Councilmember Calvin?
Yes.
Councilmember Alexander?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes.
Thank you. And then, was that the last one?
One more.
No, 11, okay. All right, we'll move on to number 11. Warmington Homes Medical Center Drive Project in Ward 6. I'm opening the public hearing at 8:29 p.m. Could I get a staff report on this item, please?
Yes, council members. This item involves General Plan Amendment 21-01, Development Code Amendment 21-06, Subdivision 2112, and Development Permit Type P 2106. It's proposing to change the general plan, or the general plan designation and the zoning from, just the zoning designation from general commercial to medium residential for approximately 10-acre site to allow the future development of 95 detached homes, and it's on Highland Avenue at approximately Medical Center Drive. This is the location of the site. This is the current zoning of the property. This is looking towards the site. Again, we have 3 different floor plans. This ranges from 1,700 square feet to 2,100 square feet, 3 and 4 bedrooms. Again, the allowable density would call for 118 units. They're proposing the 95. The open space is approximately, private open space, approximately 600 square feet, approximately 250 square feet for the common open space, and there are 43 guest parking spaces. Again, there was a CEQA documentation done for this to analyze traffic and all the other environmental items that we review. This is the site plan, and this would be Highland Avenues to the north. We have 2 streets down below. Those would be for emergency access only. So, keep in mind that this is a gated community, and so the access would be only if there was an emergency for emergency vehicles. These are the samples of the floor plans. We have the elevations. This is the landscaping plan. Again, to the top of the slide, you'll see that's Highland Avenue. As you enter the site, you will see a common area, the pocket park there for the community. We do also have guest parking spaces that are dispersed through the site. This would be once you've entered the site and going towards the east. And this is a view from the pocket park. Again, our recommendations is you adopt the resolution approving the general plan amendment, the ordinance for the development code amendment, resolutions approving the project, and we ask that you schedule this item for second reading at the next meeting, please. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Do we have any requests to speak on this item? Does anyone from the public wish to speak on this item? Turned into a speaker slip?
No, we do not.
Okay. No? Okay. There's some, is this for this item? Was there a speaker slip filled out? Or?
No, there was no speaker slip. Is it free that I speak, though?
On this item, yes.
Yes.
Please start with your name, sir.
Yeah, my name's Albert Herrera.
Thank you.
On this side here, and well, I mean, if you throw both of them in, my concern is about the community. I know you guys are talking about fence and gated community and everything, but how's it going to affect the schools when the schools are already overpacked as they are? You know, are they going to add in more schools for the children and everything else? I mean, it's just, I mean, the schools are already overpacked as
Can
there
I
is.
answer that question?
Yes.
I don't believe that the elementary school around the corner, which will be Ingram Elementary, it's not impacted. Actually, it has one of the lowest attendance, average of scholars there at that school. I don't believe that the schools in the area are impacted, sir. But I do believe that the school district would definitely look to, as the communities do continue to grow, would look to build more schools when we become more dense with community members. So I'll keep my eye on that for you. Don't worry about that.
Thank you, and that was my biggest concern. I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're quite welcome.
Thank you. Any other public speakers on this item? Please state your name for the record.
Good evening. My name is Nora Brueggemann, and my question would be, what kind of research is Wilmington Homes doing in the area? Because I believe on Palm Liquor Store and Freddie One Liquor Store, or Freddie Circle One, those two liquor stores attract a lot of crime. There's always a lot of people hanging out there. There's shootings. There's a lot of homeless people that come. So what kind of research are you guys making to ensure that your new residents will be safe? And because I'm telling you, these liquor stores, they attract, there's a lot of shootings. I live on the street. I see them. There's robberies, defecation, there's peeing, I mean, all of the above. So that would be my only question. How do you intend to keep these new homes safe and the residents safe? Because we're already dealing with the crime and with the violence and the shootings.
Okay. Any other public speakers for this item? Okay. I am now closing the public hearing at 8:34 p.m. for deliberation and action. Do we have a motion or comments or questions from council members?
Yes.
Councilmember Sanchez.
Yes, I'd like to make the same conditions for approval for this project. Same ones. I don't want the vinyl fencing. I want the split face on the perimeter, and then splitting the parcels up. And I'd like to touch on the two comments that were made. They were very good comments. Development of this sort is the gold standard of development in any city like ours. This is a high tax revenue yielding type of project. So these projects, once these are built and these homes are occupied, the amount of revenue that a city is able to get from property taxes and the various other taxes that are collected from a development like this are enormous. And they're the ones that bankroll any expansion in our school districts and our service provider, our city government. So more police, more code enforcement, everything that needs to be done is done through revenues that we're able to generate from projects like this. But I just want to make sure, and we're doing that right now, so I applaud this council for making sure that the development is of the highest quality so that the values continue to hold up as the years go by. So I would make that approval based on those conditions.
Do we have the applicant's representative to have on record with agreement to that request?
And Mayor Pro Tem, before he completes, can I add one more item, please, that we've already discussed with Warmington?
Sure, please.
Thank you so much, sir. On the same email that we have, I was sent this email to Warmington so that they could look at these items, and I'm very grateful that Warmington has been receptive in any type of changes, anything that the community is requesting, that they have responded to our emails and listened to the community, so I do appreciate that. Number one on this email says that along Highland Avenue incorporates stone veneer on the block wall fencing to enhance the quality and aesthetics of the development, especially since the front could be seen from the freeway and a busy street. And so we have discussed that, and understanding that this type of enhancement to the community, seeing where it sits on Highland in Ward 6, and across the street is somewhat of an unsightly shopping center, that the folks who would be purchasing these homes would not really want to directly look at that once they're inside of those homes. And so we just did discuss the stone veneer block wall on Highland.
We can work with staff to put some more aesthetics to the frontage. From what my landscape architect tells me, having stone mixed in with split face isn't, I guess, designed, to landscape professional standards. But whether it's adding pilasters or, of doing something like that, I can work with to staff to implement something more for the frontage along West Highland Avenue.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And again, I believe that it's been about 35 years since Ward 6 has received a new development, and we're going to continue to be working on affordable housing as well in that ward. The city of San Bernardino needs over 8,000 homes. That's how many homes that we need in order to be able to address our unsheltered situation. So various types of housing will be coming throughout the entire city to be able to suit the needs of all of our community members.
Thank you. And is the
to confirm Councilmember Sanchez's question, yes, we could accommodate changing out the vinyl fencing with some sort of cinder block. Well, we can work with staff to see what kind of material we want to use. So we're fine with that.
One more question.
Thank you, Councilmember
Yes.
Ibarra.
What's the cost range for these townhomes?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question. Well, a lot of people are asking the same question to me all the time. We don't have a fine answer. Obviously, it depends on the market, but generally, I would say we're going to be in the 500s.
And that might be out of.
I can speak to anything more than that. So.
Yeah, a lot of our residents won't be able to apply. Qualify for
so.
Okay.
Again, that's why I stated that we will be bringing all various different types of housing projects to our communities here in San Bernardino.
Yes.
We're all working on that currently.
And to also remind you, one of the comments from the neighboring resident was about safety. Yes, this is a gated community, but it is also going to be run by an HOA that can employ a security guard, every so often to make sure, there's safety within the community. So there's things that could be done to keep more safety within this community. So.
Okay, thank you very much. Do we have I'm sorry, my apologies, I don't remember if we had a motion and a second.
We have a motion, we do not have a second.
I'll second.
So I think I heard Councilmember Reynoso cross the finish line first there. So we'll go ahead and proceed to voting.
Okay, Councilmember Sanchez?
Yes.
Councilmember Ibarra?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes.
Councilmember Shurat? Councilmember Reynoso?
Yes.
Councilmember Calvin?
Yes.
Councilmember Alexander?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, thank you. At this time, I guess I think there was one more public hearing item, and that was number 9, at which time the mayor, I guess, would have to...
Item 12 is also a public hearing.
Oh, geez, okay. Item number, give me 1 second. Oh, this is one that he did not recuse from himself
So
from.
we would go back to item 9 and then proceed with item 12.
Okay. All right, we'll go to number 9. I am opening the public hearing at 8:41 p.m. Could I get a staff report on this item, please?
Good evening, Mayor and council members. The item before you tonight is the public hearing for fiscal year 2022-23 assessment levies for previously formed assessment districts. And the public hearing today is on the assessment proposed to be levied and collected from the owners of a property within each assessment district for the fiscal year 2022-23 to pay the cost for maintenance, servicing, and operating of public landscaping and lighting, and detention basins and storm drains facilities. The assessment of an annual fee upon properties within each assessment district provides the revenue to offset the cost of maintenance of the public improvements within each assessment district. The amount of the assessment which are proposed to be levied in all parcels are assessable land which each assessment district has been determined pursuant to the methodology in each engineer's report. And it's based on a special benefit conferred upon each such parcel from the payment of the cost of the maintenance, servicing, and operating of the public improvement. This is an item that comes to you every year for the levy of the assessment. That concludes staff report. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Keisha. Do we have any requests to speak from the public? Any members of the public wishing to address item number 9? Seeing none, hearing none. Now closing the public hearing at approximately 8:45 p.m. for deliberation and action. Do we have a motion? Motion by Charette. Second?
Second.
By Calvin. Final comments or questions? If not, members, I'm sorry, we're not voting electronically. Ms. City Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Sanchez?
Yes.
Councilmember Ibarra?
Yes.
Councilmember Charette? Councilmember Reynoso?
Yes.
Councilmember Calvin?
Yes.
Councilmember Alexander?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, thank you very much, Council. We have action on item number 9. Let's move on to item number 12. This is a draft fiscal year 2022-2023 annual action plan associated with the Community Development Block Grant, Home Investment Partnerships, and Emergency Solutions. The recommendation is there before you, and this is a two-part recommendation. I'm now opening the public hearing at approximately 8:45 p.m. Could I please get a staff report on the item?
Yes, it gives me great pleasure to welcome the newest member of the city's management staff, Cassandra Searcy, comes to us from the city of Victorville. She is the Deputy Director for Housing and Homelessness, a position we recently created. She is the first incumbent in that position, and she will be presenting the staff report. But first, let's welcome Cassandra to the city of San Bernardino.
Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor and honorable council members. The item that I have to present for you today is regarding the annual action plan draft that is a requirement from HUD. This annual action plan has to be presented each year, and it's pretty much an application that outlines the priorities of the city to address conditions within the community pertaining to affordable housing, homelessness, blight, economic growth, and development. The city has been allocated the following funding sources from various HUD entitlements, which includes Community Development Block Grant, Emergency Solutions Grant, and Home Ownership Assistance Program funds. In total, the city is set to receive $3,112,512 in CDBG funds, $1,569,520 in home funds, $278,068 in ESG funds. With that funding source, the city has allocated every single penny to go towards community assistance, homelessness, economic development, and affordable housing within the city. The recommendation is that council approve a public hearing, which is required by HUD, and also adopt the 2022-2023 annual action plan, which is a requirement in order for the city to receive the funding that I just mentioned. And I'm available for any questions if you have any regarding the staff report.
Thank you, Ms. Searcy. You did pretty good on your first try.
Motion to
Welcome
approve.
aboard.
Second.
It's a motion for approval by Calvin, was second by Alexander. Any final comments? All right, let's call the roll.
Councilmember Sanchez?
Yes.
Councilmember Ibarra?
Yes.
Councilmember Charette?
Yes.
Councilmember Reynoso?
Yes.
Councilmember Calvin?
Yes.
Councilmember Alexander?
Yes.
Motion
Oh, I'm
passes.
sorry, aye.
Motion passes.
Welcome, Ms. Searcy, and thank you. Thank you. We wish you a lot of luck here in our city, and thank you for your contributions to our CDBG program. Thank you. Okay, let's move on back to, we've concluded our public hearing portion. We'll resume back into our public comment portion. Now, I'm going to ask for your full cooperation, community. Can you help me? I want to call your name, but please get up out of your chair and let's get you on the wall here and let's get going here. We got a lot of comments tonight. We want to hear your comments, and it's okay to speak to us, but help us, help me help you in delivering this, these comments. Brian Sanchez. Brian, are you here? We're moving on. Yenny Ruiz, Alejandro Rodriguez, Olga. Any of those folks here? We do have Spanish interpretation available, so please feel free. Go ahead, ma'am. Are you Yenny? Welcome. Go ahead. You're recognized for 3 minutes.
Buenas noches. Yo estoy aquí para ofrecer mi testimonio de el que sigue después de querer procesar los permisos para ser vendedor ambulante. Yo hace 1 año y medio, ¿se me van a traducir?
I'm sorry, just a moment. So procedurally, are you our translator, sir? Yes. Okay, go ahead and get the mic or the handheld mic. And then do you want to wait for her upon conclusion and then you translate, or how would you like to do it?
Mayor, if I can make an announcement.
Go ahead.
Okay. Buenas noches. Tenemos disponible un intérprete para brindar servicios en español. Las personas que vayan a ocupar intérprete, por favor, formen línea al lado izquierdo.
Okay, Ms. Reese, welcome again. Bienvenida.
Vamos a hacer una cosa.
Let's go ahead and speak into the microphone, please.
Hable y yo voy a hablar para usted. Mientras usted está hablando, puede hablar como quiera, ¿ok? En voz alta se quiere y yo voy a hacer su voz, básicamente. ¿Va a estar leyendo o...?
No,
okay.
Eso nada más para presentarlo.
Ms. Reese, are you prepared and ready to go?
¿Está lista?
You're on.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Buenas noches, mi nombre es Jerry Reese.
Good evening, I'm Jerry Reese. I'm a street vendor. Excuse me. Perdón. ¿Puede seguir hablando?
Voy a decir que sigue después de querer tramitar los procesos para ser un vendedor ambulante.
I'm here to ask what's going to happen after all the paperwork of being a street vendor are.
Hace 1 año y medio yo
It's been a year and a half that I received
una multa.
I received a citation for being on the street, being a street vendor.
Después la ciudad me comentó que podía yo
Then the city told me that I could legalize my business
asistir a un curso que me proporcionó,
and assist a course
un curso que me proporcionó la Coalición de Justicia para el Inmigrante.
that I could attend to, which was about a justice of immigrants.
Eso ha pasado a cerca de 1 año ya.
And that was about a year ago now.
Y todavía no he podido terminar mis
I still have not been able to finish my documents
debido a que siempre hay una mala
due to the fact that there's always a miscommunication between the parties.
Yo aquí tengo pruebas, incluso hoy
I have proof here,
a otra junta
in addition here, that today, even today, I went to another city board meeting,
sí, iba a estar el health department, pero nunca estuvo.
and the health department was going to be there. They were absent. They were not there.
Siempre me quedan dudas y
I always have concerns. It's not just, it's not fair that the health department
no dan una información clara.
do not give a clear information to
No
us,
me quieren atender porque no hablo inglés.
and they don't wanna serve me, attend to me just because I don't speak English. I've proved, I've taken people with me to help me out with the whole process. So please support us, take action, and make this process easy for us so that we can follow along and make it doable. And that's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Alejandro Rodriguez, Olga Flores. Alejandro, are you here? Okay, we're moving on. Olga Flores, are you here? Olga, go ahead, ma'am. Do you need a translator?
No.
Go ahead. Welcome.
Good evening, Honorable San Bernardino Council members and Mayor Marlivia. My name is Olga Flores. I am a San Bernardino resident and a street vendor organizer for the Inland Coalition for Immigrant Justice. For several years, the coalition has been working with thousands of street vendors, bars, academia, business owners, and state elected leaders to address the need to incorporate street vendors in the region formal economy. Today, I'm here to ask to please support the creation of a Workers of Vendor Center, increase staff capacity to help the street vendors go through the process of apply for business license, and stop criminalizing this family until the city has a system to truly assist them. As a vendor organizer, I have worked to educate street vendors to apply for business license and to distribute 600,000 in resources for their business. In the process, we have learned to the police encounters have only pushed them futures out of for our system into the property. This has also made them more vulnerable to criminals who take advantage of them. If instead of creating more conflicts between vendors and police, we invest in a system that helps them file for license, we will see the economic benefits that street vendors culture provides the city like New York and Los Angeles. Please put a moratorium of citation and rates and hire staff for them get business license. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Miriam Flores, Miriam Espinosa, are you here? Moving on, Virginia Lopez, Juan Sandoval. Okay, come on up. Welcome. Are you Virginia? Who's Miriam? Miriam, welcome. Go ahead.
Adelante.
Hola, buenas noches. Mi nombre
Hello, good evening. My name is
Miriam Espinosa.
Miriam Espinosa.
El motivo de estar aquí
Reason why I'm here,
es para saber
it's to know
si la ciudad
if
y la
the city,
policía,
the police,
les han dado la autorización de ser
have given you
racistas con
authorization
nosotros,
to
los
be
vendedores
racist against
ambulantes.
us, street vendors,
Porque entendemos que estamos trabajando
because we do understand we are working
para mí,
illegally, but
la
to
policía
me,
y la ciudad
the
se ha
police
pasado
and the city
de lo que es
have
lo
gone
normal a la ley.
overboard to what's called normal laws.
Nosotros no le pedimos nada al gobierno, no
We're
le
not
pedimos
asking
nada a
anything
la ciudad,
from the government
simplemente
or the
un
city.
apoyo para
Simply, we
nuestros
want
permisos
support in
para
our
trabajar
permits
legalmente,
to be able to work
que
legally.
sabemos que eso no nos lo van a regalar, lo
We
vamos
know
a
that
pagar.
we know we're not gonna get it for free. We know we're gonna pay for it. We're
Ya
gonna
que
pay
nosotros invertimos,
because
ganan
we
los comerciantes,
invest.
tenemos personas trabajando que también
We
ganan
have
con
people
nosotros,
working with
al
us
mismo
that
tiempo,
also earn money for
también
us,
pagamos impuestos
which also
porque no estamos
pay
ya gratis.
taxes,
No
because
somos
we're not here for
criminales
free.
y solamente
We're
pido
not criminal. I
justicia
only
para mis
ask for
compañeros
justice,
que hacemos
my
el
colleagues,
trabajo
and
para nosotros
everyone
mismos
that
y la
work
comunidad.
in the community,
Esperemos
street
nos
vending,
escuchen y eso
and
es lo
I
único que
really
yo
hope
pido,
that
que
you
tomen
all
en cuenta que es
listen
un
to us
trabajo
and to
digno,
really
no
know that
vendemos
it's
drogas, No matamos gente.
It's a honest job.
Y lo único
We don't
que
do drugs. We don't
es
kill
que nos
people.
apoyen
The
para
only
estar
thing we
legalmente
want
trabajando.
is support for us to be able to work legally.
Gracias.
Thank you,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Our next speaker is Virginia. Is that you, ma'am?
Yes.
Welcome. Do you need translation services?
Yes, please.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Mrs. Lopez, welcome.
Okay, buenas noches. Mi nombre es Virginia López.
Good evening, I'm Virginia Lopez.
Yo soy vendedora ambulante. Y
I'm
yo
also a
represento a mi
street
familia,
vendor representing my
somos,
family,
mexicanos que venimos
Mexican,
a luchar a este país
coming
para
here
salir
to
adelante.
fight in this
No
country
venimos a
to
robar,
move
no venimos
forward.
a matar.
We're not here to steal. We're not here to kill. We just want to move forward
En lugar de andar
and stop
persiguiéndonos,
justice
que
instead of
persigan los que
police
andan haciendo
chasing me.
delitos, matando, robando,
Chase the ones that are
que
killing and selling drugs.
tenemos que
This is
luchar
really
y
unjustified. We want to move forward in life.
Basta de
It's
esta injusticia.
enough of this
Y
injustice.
así sigo luchando por los mexicanos.
And we're gonna
Y
keep
que
fighting
paguen por
for
esta- y nos
Mexicans.
dejen trabajar con permiso.
And
Es
please,
injusticia lo que nos están dando. He buscado ayuda y nadie me representa.
please stop the police chasing us. I've been looking for help.
Mexicano, y yo le pido a todos los mexicanos que apoyen esta ley a conseguir un permiso honesto y digno para nuestra familia.
I ask-
Y como para ustedes que son de la ciudad de San Bernardino, se apoyan y justamente los apoyamos y le pido por favor que tomen en cuenta que todos somos vendedores ambulantes y contribuimos contra ustedes también.
I ask all Mexicans to support this law and please help us support it as well. We are all here as a community. We want to be legally, we want to be working. We're not criminals. We don't kill anybody. We don't sell drugs. And please make the process easy for us to be able to to be able to be a street vendor legally on the streets. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Juan Sandoval. Mr. Sandoval, you're recognized. Are you Mr. Sandoval? Great. Welcome.
Es Sandoval usted, ¿verdad?
Followed by Veronica Roman and Rosario Pulido.
And good evening, this is Juan
Go ahead.
Sandoval.
Yo también soy un comerciante.
I'm also a street vendor.
Tratamos de ofrecerle a la comunidad
We try to offer the
las raíces de
community
nuestros países,
our
la gastronomía,
the roots from our countries,
los mejores
the
platillos
food,
que tenemos en
the
nuestro-
best
en
dishes
nuestra
we
zona.
have.
No somos
We are
delincuentes,
not
tratamos de hacerle
criminals.
mal a nadie.
We're not here to
Queremos
do
trabajar honestamente,
any ill will to
honradamente,
anybody. We're trying to sell
de
it,
nuestras familias.
sell legally. We're trying to provide to our
No
families.
venimos a hacer una carga para este
We're
país,
not
sino
coming here to be a bargain to this
contribuir
country.
con nuestros impuestos.
In fact, it's the opposite. We want to contribute with our taxes.
Les pido, por favor, nos ayuden.
I ask, please, help us.
Hagan algo para regularizar nuestra situación.
Do something to regulate our business.
Queremos trabajar
We want to
con
work
ustedes.
with you,
Ustedes apóyennos a trabajar.
but at the same time, please help us, support us. And that is all.
Gracias.
Thank you.
sir. Okay, Veronica Roman. Veronica, welcome. Veronica, do you need, are you Miss Roman? Veronica? Veronica. Welcome, Ms. Roman. Do you need translation services?
No.
No.
Good
Okay,
evening,
great. Welcome.
honorable council members and Mayor Valdivia. My name is Veronica Roman, and I'm a San Bernardino resident and community and outreach organizer in the Island Coalition for Immigrant Justice. Today, I'm here to ask you to please, number one, support the creation of workers and vendor centers. Number two, to increase staff capacity to help street vendors go through the process to applying for business license. And number three, and stop to criminalizing these families until the city has a system to truly assist them. As an organizer, I have been working with 100 of street vendors who contribute thousands of dollars to our local economy since the city approved the ordinance that allows police to use the health code to city street vendors. We have seen an increase in confrontation among police and community members who do not understand why police officers will take their livelihood away The city has no increased staff capacity to work with the street vendors either. The speed our efforts to educate street vendors about the process and distributing 600,000 in mini grants to help them acquire equipment required. Many of these vendors have only encountered roadblocks when they meet with city staff. The Inland Coalition and San Bernardino resident ask you to please put a moratorium and citation and rates until you hire staff who can work with street vendors to help them become part of our economy. Thank you.
Thank you. Rosario? Welcome, go ahead.
Good evening, you all. My name is Rosario Pulido. I'm a San Bernardino.
I'm sorry, ma'am, you're out of order. Just have a seat.
I'm a San Bernardino County resident.
Have a seat,
I'm a street vendor, and I support all vendors, street vendors. And we all need a license to be able to work legally, just like I support any worker to see if they open a center here for all the, for all the food workers. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor, I just explained to the public, because I think the public has a right to know why the clock is reading 6 minutes. There is a state law in California that says under the Brown Act, we must allow people to speak. When a translator is provided to a speaker, we are legally required to provide double the time of 6 minutes, so that 6 minutes is being posted when we are translating comments.
And to clarify, you don't need all 6 minutes. You're welcome to speak your full 3 minutes, and we appreciate our public. Now, I want you to help me help you. So Ingrid Salazar, are you here? Ingrid, come on up. Albert de la Vega, are you here? Go ahead, have a stand there for me. Paula Escudero, come on down, ma'am. Come on down. Mr. Monroy, are you here? Come on up. Okay, Ms. Salazar, do you need a translator?
No.
Go ahead, 3 minutes.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, city staff, and community members. My name is Ingrid Salazar, and I am currently an immigrant rights advocate with the Pomona Economic Opportunity Center. PEOC's mission is to empower low-wage immigrant workers in Pomona and across the Inland Empire. And to that end, we regularly conduct outreach to day laborers that wait for work on the corner of Highland and Lincoln here in San Bernardino. Our organization is focused on protecting the rights of day laborers, such as the workers who look for work every day outside of the Home Depot. San Bernardino County plans to spend $138.5 million in American Rescue Plan Act funds into pandemic response, which includes homeless services, housing and testing, vaccines, and department response. It allocates funds towards economic development strategies and key infrastructure improvements. Additionally, it funded $110 million to government operations to improve county systems like pandemic-based technology, innovation and efficiency, service delivery enhancements, and administration of the American Rescue Plan Act program. While the county focuses on 3 necessary categories, it fails to include funding towards public transportation, public spaces, social programs, and services like childcare, sick leave, teachers, and students. There's also a lack of use of funding for community health workers, community clinics, local public health, and social service departments, as well as an allocation of funds for mental and behavioral health services. As you all are aware, the City of San Bernardino received $423.5 million from American Rescue Plan Act funding, which is federal COVID relief. This money is intended for economic recovery after COVID, and an economic opportunity worker center is the perfect way to invest this money. We need the city to invest in a space where workers can be taught their rights, engage in civic life, and can improve their skills to have access to better paying jobs and a better quality of life. A worker center would provide resources to workers in the Inland Empire and San Bernardino that have little recourse to workplace abuses and are often vulnerable to illness or exhaustion. The resources exist to make this a reality, and we ask that you do your part to make sure it does. Thank you for your attention.
Okay, Albert and Paula, and I'm sorry, you're out of order. Just remain patient, all right? Mr. De La Vega, welcome, sir.
Hi, my name is Alberto De La Vega. I'm a street vendor. Some of you may know me as Funnel Cake Fridays. I do sell the best funnel cakes in San Bernardino. I've been a street vendor for more than a little over 4 years now, okay? Serving the community, putting smiles on people's faces. To me, street vending is more than just, selling food on the street. It's where people and family get together and they share, interest eating culturally significant food. And it's a safe, and it brings light to our streets. The community has expressed their appreciation for street vendors time and time again, okay? I enjoy what I do, I love what I do, and I hope that the work center for street vendors could find a new place, a new home without being criminalized or being having their stuff being taken away. I mean, it's sad to see when you see code enforcement and police officers arrive and you see all the street vendors rushing, picking up everything that they got. I have it on video where I saw this father holding their baby and a canopy running across the street, almost gets hit. And as this is unfolding, I'm asking myself, like, is this really necessary? Like, why the panic? I mean, all they're doing is just selling food. So I really hope that this work center works out and you guys do approve it with you guys' support. And that's my only way of supporting my family as well. So thank you.
Great, thank you. Mr. Escudero. I'm sorry, Mrs. Paula. Paula? Welcome.
Para por 2-3 segundos, continúo. Cuando le hago así, sigo hablando, ¿ok? Porque está el reloj.
Buenas noches.
Good evening.
Mi nombre es Paula Escudero.
I'm Paula Escudero.
También soy vendedora ambulante.
Also street vendor.
Y venimos a este país para trabajar.
And we come to this country to work.
Quiero que nos ayuden a tener un permiso.
We want you to help us get a permit.
Para no ser una carga del gobierno.
We don't want to be a bargain to the government.
Venimos a trabajar, no
We
venimos
come
a
here
que nos
to
mantengan.
work. We're not coming here to be taken care of.
Venimos a trabajar, no que nos mantengan. No queremos andar escondidos de la policía de la ciudad.
And we don't want to be hiding from the police, from the city.
Para seguir adelante y
We want to
trabajar,
be free.
mantener a la familia,
We want to move forward.
nuestros hogares.
We want to sustain our families,
Porque si vamos y les pedimos,
our
no nos
children.
van a dar suficiente para mantenernos, así que no queremos ser una carga para el gobierno.
Because if we go ask, they're not going to give it to us. So on that note, we don't want to be a bargain to the government.
Estamos dispuestos a pagar un permiso legalmente para no escondernos.
We're here, we're willing to pay a permit. We don't want to be hiding, and we'll be happy to do so.
Es todo, muchas gracias.
And that's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Monroy, welcome. Mr. Monroy, give me just a second. Jose Ramirez, are you here? Moving on. Jesus Manuel Gabriel, are you here? Okay, Natalie Bautista. Natalie, thank you, ma'am, if you come down. Mr. Ramirez, or I'm sorry, Mr. Monroy. Welcome, sir. Go ahead.
My name is Marcos Monroy.
Buenas noches.
Good evening to all.
Venimos buscando una solución a nuestro problema.
We come here, we want to find a resolution to our problem here, our issues.
Soy un vendedor ambulante.
I'm a street vendor.
Vengo de Guatemala
I'm from Guatemala,
buscando una mejor solución para mi familia.
looking for a better opportunity to my family.
Estamos siendo acusados y perseguidos
We're being accused, we're being persecuted
por la policía.
by the police.
Nos sentimos intimidados por
We,
raza, por
we're feeling intimidated because of our race.
Estamos siendo perseguidos por algo que estamos generando nosotros por nuestra familia.
We're being chased, persecuted by doing just something that it's just to be able to support our families.
Estamos contribuyendo en esta gran nación con empleos.
And we are contributing to this great nation
Con la economía cuando compramos nuestros productos.
with to our economy when we provide our products.
Nos están quitando nuestras armas con que nos defendemos, que es con nuestro talento de
And
hacer comida.
they're taking away our talents, which is our talent. It's be able to cook this great food.
Estamos siendo golpeados duramente con el precio de la gasolina, con las
We keep being hit on by the gas prices, rent prices,
y nos están quitando el derecho de poder contribuir a esta
and they're taking away our right to be able to contribute to this great nation.
Quisiéramos ver si en esta hora se pudiera dar una buena solución y poder ayudarnos.
So finally, we really would like to see a resolution to all this and us be able to be part of it.
Y que los servidores cuando venimos a pedir una ayuda, a preguntar que podemos sacar un permiso, que nos traten de la mejor manera porque siempre nos tratan mal. Nos dicen que no hay ningún permiso y nos sacan.
And to the servers on the other side, providers, every time we go ask for help, they turn the cheek. They don't want to help us, so we're asking for a change. This cannot happen.
Y que la policía siga defendiéndonos, cuidándonos y no tenerle miedo nosotros a la policía al mirarlos.
And police to be able to defend us, protect us, and not the other way around, not us having to be afraid of them.
Muchas gracias y que tengamos buena noche.
Thank you very much, and you all have a good evening.
Okay, Natalie Bautista, welcome, ma'am. Do you need services, translation? No, all right. Rodrigo Ortiz, are you here? All right, sir. Come on down. Great. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. First, I want to acknowledge that your community seeks justice for Rob Adams, and I want to extend my condolences to his family. Second, I am here to urge you to support a worker center in our city. I am the daughter of parents who worked in gardening and cleaning houses, jobs which are considered quote-unquote informal and unskilled labor, similar to that of day laboring and street vending, but jobs on which our community depends and on which your constituents make their income. You talked about the entrepreneurship programs, which are giving folks support in jumpstarting their small businesses. My aunt, who couldn't be here today, makes her living selling pan dulce out of her van in the city, as well as around the county, from Riverside to up the mountain in Big Bear. Her goal is to one day have a brick and mortar panaderia. She graduated earlier this year in the program organized by the Inland Coalition for Immigrant Justice. Let's not leave things halfway. You have the opportunity to invest fully in the community and in the constituents by supporting an inaugural worker center. I want to thank Councilmember Reynoso for putting this on the agenda, and I ask that it be included again when there is a proposal to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Ortiz, man, you're ready to go. You need translation
I think
service?
so. Let me try to do my best.
Let's do it.
All right.
You're
so
doing great already.
Thank you for the opportunity. I'm trying to represent all my teen and old vendors on the street. So my name is Rodrigo Ortiz. I'm the first immigrant, the first generation in this country for 14 years. I'm resident for San Bernardino, California. And to be honest, I want to tell you, I received many discrimination for the police department too, time ago. So the only thing that I need for my partners, vendors, is like, I need the support of you guys. Just the only need is permit. That's it. Or some place, everybody like want to rent a place with all certification for the city. It's the only that people need for vendors. That's the only thing. I want to stop for discrimination because nobody here is criminal. No like tips or like that. Just I try to do the best for make the support the families. I see some vendors, to be honest, fighting in the street. It's very sad. So the gastronomy for Latinos is very delicious. And this is, we we are culture for us. It's like taking my arm. This is my weapon for survive in this country. Thank you so much, and I appreciate for the space.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Ortiz, you did great in English. You did great. You did great. All right, next speaker, Claudia Bautista. Claudia, are you here? Great. Do you need translation services? No. Ms. Beltran, Isabella, are you here? Isabella. Okay, come on down. Malibu, that's all I have, the first name of Malibu. All right. And Mr. Penman, to close us out. Welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, city staff. My name is Claudia Bautista. I am the Deputy Director with the Pomona Economic Opportunity Center. Our organization is focused on protecting the rights of day laborers and other immigrant workers who look for work. Our organization is focused on protecting the rights of day laborers, such as the workers who look for work outside of the Home Depot every day on Highland. We understand that the fight for a worker center began back in November 2021 when close to 25 day laborers and street vendors were ticketed, had their vehicles impounded, and some of them even got charges for trespassing. We know that that was a large operation held by the San Bernardino Police Department and Code Enforcement. However, we recognize that the struggle goes back to 2019, and we would not be here today talking about the possibility of a worker and vendor center had it not been for street vendors organizing and demanding respect for their rights for the past 3 years. We want to thank Councilmember Reynoso for putting this on the agenda, although the mayor did mention it's not on the agenda, so I was a little bit confused about that. And we are hoping that once the agenda comes forward, once the item comes forward in the agenda, then for you to vote yes. That's what we're hoping and asking of you. While the original request to drop the citations, reimburse workers for the unfair fines, and stop the harassment and targeting of our communities were not answered by San Bernardino city leadership, if anything, they have ramped up their code enforcement operations and have continued to confiscate people's work equipment and tools. Thus, supporting this worker center is the first step towards righting the wrongs inflicting on our community. We need the city to invest in a space where workers can be taught their rights, can engage in civic life, and can improve their skills to have access to better paying jobs and a better quality of life. A worker and vendor center would provide resources to workers and vendors in the Inland Empire that have little recourse to workplace abuses and are often vulnerable to illness and exhaustion due to rising heat levels and other weather changes due to changing climate. More importantly, we ask that the rights of day laborers, street vendors, and other low-wage immigrant workers be upheld and respected in the city of San Bernardino. We ask that their civil rights and their personal property is respected. We are committed to supporting our community of day laborers, street vendors, and other low-wage immigrant workers, and to work alongside them until we find a viable solution. We know that the city received over $423 million from ARPA money. So we know that the city has money right now to do this. It's time for San Bernardino Police Department to stop criminalizing, harassing, and even murdering our community. It's time to invest in people.
All right. Isabel Beltran, welcome.
Thank you very much for allowing me. And good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Isabel Beltran, and I am a saddened resident of San Bernardino. I'm really saddened to see my city decline as much as it has. Many of you say you care for your wards. Please start showing it as I drive through. And I'm going to read this because I'm nervous, and this is my first time here, so please bear with me. As I drive through the neighborhoods, I am not seeing the care. So I have a question. So you're saying that the street vending are or can be legal? Yes? Okay. So now my main concern is Who will be responsible for the cleanup of our streets and our sidewalks? Because it's not being done now. Is that a question anyone can answer? Who's responsible for the cleanup?
Ms. Beltran, go ahead and give us your comments, and then we can have
Okay.
staff address some of your issues.
Okay, and I would like to know who's going to be responsible for the cleanup and how often, because I don't think that residents should have to call in for any reason for the cleanup. Because we've had to call in, and I've seen it done once so far. And that's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Malibu, welcome. Thank
you
you for your
doing?
patience, ma'am. Thank you.
No problem.
We're trying to
I
get
do
through
what I
this.
can.
We're trying to get through this.
Okay, I want to applaud them for coming out in the numbers that they did, honestly, because we, as a community, could take a book, the whole book from this, because they showed out in record numbers and nobody's did, okay? So I'm going to stand with you guys. I have faith that you guys are going to get this right. I want to stand with the chief as well, because he just got this job, and I don't want, everybody that's been there, now he has to be the person to carry the big bag. I want us to stay focused on the cops that rolled up like gang members. They showed up with tinted windows. I would have ran too. Let me say this. I own the business, not just the business, but the property as well, on Baseline and Sierra Way. There's been a lot of killings over there. Me and Sandra have spoke, through Texas about the people that have been killed over there, and then bodies have been other places. It's just, and they're shot in the back too. So that concerns me that people are being shot in the back like that, right? I would have ran as well. If they were surveillance in that area, why was it not the lights when you pulled up? Why wasn't there a black and white accompanied them? I want those officers to be held accountable. I don't think that we need to start dragging the... I don't want us to start dragging the city council. I don't want us to start dragging the chief. I don't. I want us to stay focused on that. That should not have happened. Whether he had a gun or not, I'm not going to say he did. I'm not going to say he didn't. Whether he had a gun or not, the police is not the jury, not the judge. They're just the police. You don't get to do all this stuff. You work for us, and then you guys work for us, and then they work for y'all. So everybody got to be ready to play this game, because this in San Bernardino is not going to be happening. I stand very tall for my city. I stand with you guys. You guys have came out to my events. I do, but this ain't finna happen. We're not finna do this. The police department should not be pulling up on nobody in unmarked cars without your lights on. That disturbs me that the police did that, because Baseline and Sierra Way, where my business is, if they would have pulled up on me like that, I would have probably ran too at 52 years old. I'd have been like, I would have ran. This is San Bernardino. They just said it was 53 murders this year. Not that means more people have died than that, but just murders, homicides. So I don't think that we should be focused on he had a gun, he didn't have a gun, he ran. He has the right to run. There was a wall and another wall. Where are you running to? Nowhere. Why is it that when black people commit crimes, we're dead at the scene, but everybody else is alive? This has to stop. And I'm telling you, I have faith in y'all. I told the chief as well. I'm one of the community activists, a business owner here, and I want to stand with him. But I don't have a problem with sliding and stepping, because if you don't do right, I'm going to come up here and say you're not doing right. So I want to give you guys a chance to be transparent. Thank you.
Ma'am. Thank you. Our next speaker, Mr. Penman. Ms. Davies, you submitted a speaker after it was called upon, so I apologize. We're going to move on, Ms. Davis. Mr. Penman, you're recognized. Go ahead, Mr. Penman. Go ahead, Mr. Penman.
Here to speak on item number 30, the counseling team contract for employee assistance program. If we do not allow our police chief to do his job, we're going to need that employee counseling team. I lost a handicapped child when he was 3.5 years of age. I have a lot of empathy and sympathy for anyone who loses a child, regardless of the circumstances or the age. But let's talk about what's going to happen here. Our police chief is going to be named as a defendant in a lawsuit. and he's going to have to be defended out of this shooting. I have no problem with people coming down and regular citizens giving their opinions, what we've been hearing. I encourage them to do that. However, we have to support our police chief. Now, a councilman who was largely responsible for getting this police chief here, along with the other council members, pushing for a person who represented the demographics of our city, we got this chief. We need to back this chief. Now, the council member who called for the protest is going to be subpoenaed by the plaintiff to testify not just against the city, not just against the officer, but against the police chief. And he's going to be asked, why didn't you have confidence in the chief? And I've done a lot of these cases, cross-examined hundreds of witnesses. Why didn't you have confidence in your chief to do the investigation? Well, I did. Well, you called for a protest. Well, it wasn't against the chief, it was against the officer. Well, wait a minute. You back this chief. Isn't it his job to do the investigation? Yes, it is. Didn't the police chief make one request, one simple request? Let me finish my investigation before you rush to judgment. That's the only request he made. But this one council member chose not to do that. So the chief is there trying to defend himself. Now, if your feelings are so strong about any subject, and when I was the elected city attorney, that happened to me once. There was a law that we had to not allow certain changes in an apartment, and these people had a handicap. I recused myself. If a council member feels so strongly about any subject, such as police shootings, he needs to recuse himself rather than call on the people to come down and protest. I did not call on people to come down and protest that ordinance. I have confidence in our chief. He's a good chief. I have confidence in his leadership. He's going to do his job. You have to let him do his job. Don't interfere with him doing his job. Don't put yourself in a position to have to testify against our chief of police, because that's what you have set up. Great that you feel the way you do, but if you're going to uphold the duties of your office and your fiduciary duty to this city, either be a council member and do it, or resign and be a community activist. Support the police chief. And you are booing the chief of police and not letting him do his job. Thank you.
All right.
Okay. Mr. Penman, it was absolutely, I'm the one who spoke out, but I have no idea. You're kind of old. I don't know where you get your information. But if your intention is to seek, sow discord with me and the police department for calling for accountability versus calling for a protest, where do you get your information? Who called for a protest? Where did I ask for a protest? And people like you love attention, so I'm going to stop now. And good luck to you in November, man.
Okay. At this time, we're going to take a 10-minute recess. We're done with public comments. We will get back into our regularly council calendared items. We'll do a 10-minute recess. We'll be back here at approximately 9:40. Okay, very good. This is the, I think there's been an administrative request to put item number 29 onto the discussion portion of tonight's calendar. Let's go ahead and make that adjustment.
And one other change, item 20 needs to be continued.
Okay, item number 20 off of the consent calendar will be continued as an administrative pull from our staff. All right, let's go into our consent. Let's go to item number 29. This is item number 29 before you, council members. There's been a slight adjustment off of the consent calendar, and we'll now entertain that in our public discussion portion of tonight's meeting. This is a Community Facilities District number 2020-1 Rancho Palma Special Tax Bond Series 2022. I will turn it over to our staff for a presentation and a staff report. Item number 29.
This is going to be handled by Barbara Whitehorn, Agency Director, Administrative Services.
No presentation from staff. This is just Daniela from BB&K.
Good evening, City Council. My name is Daniela Hernandez. I'm an attorney at Best Best & Krieger in the Public Finance Department. For consideration before you is a resolution authorizing the issuance of bonds within Community Facilities District number 2020-1, Rancho Palma, in an amount not to exceed $5 million. The Community Facilities District is located in the Verdemont community in San Bernardino, north of Little League Drive and east of Magnolia Avenue. The Community Facilities District is being developed into 119 single-family homes. The assessed value of the properties within the Community Facilities District is approximately 13.79 times the proposed debt service on the bonds. The proceeds of the bonds will be used to finance water system facilities, sewer system facilities, storm drain improvements, and transportation improvements of the city, as well as the cost of issuing the bonds. In connection with the issuance of the bonds, there has been presented to the City Council a form of fiscal agent agreement which sets forth the terms and conditions pursuant to which the bonds are governed, a preliminary official statement which discloses material information to potential purchasers of the bonds, and a bond purchase agreement which sets forth the terms and conditions pursuant to which the underwriter will purchase the bonds. It is anticipated that the bonds will be sold and closed next month if this item is approved. This concludes my presentation. I am available for any questions you may have.
Thank you very much. The matter is there before you, council members. The recommendation is there. Is there a motion for approval? Moved by Charette. Is there a second by Figueroa? Any final comments? Otherwise,
What's the city's credit? Don't we have a credit rating?
I'm sorry, Mr. Alexander, your question, sir? Go ahead.
What's the city's credit rating or bond rating?
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. My name is Mike Williams. I'm with Columbia Capital, and we're serving as the municipal advisor on this transaction. The council member's question was, what is the credit rating of the city? These bonds are not an obligation of the city, so the city is not obligated in any way to pay any debt service on the bonds. These bonds do not have a rating, which is typical for this type of financing.
Okay, so the city is under no financial obligation?
Yes, sir.
Roger that. Thank you very much.
Okay, motion and a second. Members, any objections? Is there any objections to this item? Otherwise, it is so ordered and moved. Item number 29. Thank you very much. Thank you. All right, let's move on to our consent calendar. At this time, I think it's most appropriate.
Mayor, we still need to do discussion items, so discussion items 2 through 5, I believe.
Oh, geez. Okay, we're back to, man, we're all over the place tonight. Okay, we're back in discussion mode. Item number 2, my apologies.
Point of order.
Yes, sir.
I believe there's still public comment out. Are we doing that out of order?
We're doing that after, sir.
After?
As I haven't
Okay.
announced it. Yeah, items not on the agenda will be after. All right, let's proceed with item number 2. This is a third amendment to exclusive negotiated agreement with Carousel Mall. The staff report and the recommendation is there before you, and Mr. City Manager.
Yeah, this is an incredibly important item. A big day for San Bernardino. It may not seem like it, but it is. Staff report is going to be presented by Nathan Freeman, Agency Director of Community Housing and Economic Development. Nathan.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Again, Nathan Freeman, your Agency Director of Community Housing and Economic Development. Item number 2 before you this evening is simply your review and consideration of a proposed third amendment to the exclusive negotiating agreement between the City of San Bernardino and the San Bernardino Development Company, better known as RDICO. It is our hope that with approval from the City Council, this third amendment to the ENA will accomplish 3 things. Number 1, it will add LPC West, better known as the Lincoln Property Company, as a party to the original ENA and would make Lincoln the exclusive developer as it relates to the project moving forward. Second, it would extend the term of the ENA until September of 2023, which would allow staff and Lincoln the necessary time to negotiate a disposition and development agreement for your ultimate review and approval. And thirdly, It would amend the schedule of performance to reflect the new timeline contained within the ENA. As alluded, Lincoln Property Company is one of the, I would say, countrywide renowned developers. They have successfully developed not only here in Southern California, but again across the country, developing, financing, and delivering mixed-use projects similar in size and scope to the Carousel Mall. It's our recommendation that the City Council review the ENA and approve it. I'm available to answer any questions the Council may have, and representatives from RDICO and Lincoln are both available to answer questions as well.
Mr. Freeman, I have a question for you regarding the terms of payment on the Second Amendment. The action codified by the council on the second agreement suggests that there should be a payment of $50,000 additional dollars. My question to you is it Lincoln Properties' sole obligation to satisfy and fulfill that, or has the prior and previous developer paid that, and are balances made and payable, and are they in good standing?
Yes, they're in good standing. As you know, from the previous two amendments, we collected roughly $100,000 that would be applied towards this. Again, we've spent very little of that money down so far. We feel very confident that amount is sufficient to carry us through to the disposition and development agreement.
Now, on the transition you suggest on this third amendment to the ENA, it identifies in the second section Lincoln Properties. So who then now is responsible for the payment, or is that absolved from RDICO, and where does that payment then go?
So again, RDICO is still a part of the project. They are a silent partner, and that $100,000 would remain.
Okay, all right, very good. We'll open it up for comments and questions from members. Comments? Members, any comments or questions?
Move to
Mr.
approve.
Reynoso? Mr. Reynoso, go ahead.
So, Mr. City Manager, I guess you're the appropriate one to ask this question. The process that we went through to select this development team, there was something in that contract that allowed for them to basically become a silent partner, bring on the exclusive developer now. This is the first time hearing about it publicly. That was totally legal, and they're just going to be a silent partner.
Yes. The answer is yes. It is completely legal. As a matter of fact, it was from the very beginning of this process, it was always the intention to bring someone like Lincoln aboard. However, this is happening much sooner than we anticipated, and the fact that we have somebody with the capacity and the capability and the track record that Lincoln has is, I mean, I'd say this actually puts us ahead of pace and is a really great expression of the capacity, the meaning of this project. This is going to be a great outcome for the city because we have somebody who has absolutely got the capacity to self-perform this. And that is really an important step in the right direction for the city.
So what is RDICO? What do you get out of this by being a silent partner? What does that mean for the community benefits agreement? And what does it mean for the future of the downtown of San Bernardino?
Well, I can speak to the CBA.
You can, or they're in the back of the room.
Yeah, well, I can speak to the CBA. The obligation to pursue and enter into a community benefits agreement remains. That is not being extinguished by this.
Does it remain, or is it guaranteed?
It's one of the conditions upon which we embarked on this process in the first place.
And Lincoln has no problem. They're all in?
No problem at all.
Is it codified by written anywhere in the contract?
It's not a written, look, the staff's made very clear. There will be no agreement, there will be no project without the community benefits agreement. That is
So
already been expressed.
why isn't it codified by written statement in the ENA?
It'll be in the, I think it's a separate agreement for starters. And it will also end up being a component of the development and disposition agreement as opposed to the exclusive negotiating agreement. There are very different types of documents. ENA leads to DDA. And the CBA is.
So are you
in
suggesting
between.
that the DDA would then have that within the DDA structure?
It ends up being a condition of the agreement by which the development will occur. So yeah, it's essentially structured such that it ends up in the project. through the DDA or the purchase sale agreement. There's a whole bunch of different, this is a very complex series of documents that have to be, and agreements have to be entered into to get to this point. So it'll be a component of the final agreements by which the project is going to be developed.
So the question is, the community has is, so then why is Renaissance and RDIC part of this deal anyway? I mean, if Lincoln Property certainly has the bandwidth, the capacity, the ability to develop, they have the checkbook, they have the resources, the connections, why are these other two individuals involved?
This is a private-to-private agreement between them. And I don't know much of the detail about their agreement between the two of them. You can ask them, I suppose, but those details are not something we're privy to. But that is what the deal that they arranged, that they entered into between them. That's their part of the agreement.
So now it's back on council to verify the veracity of the agreement. How do we know the agreement? This is an agreement between two parties that are non-disclosed to the council?
It's on staff to ensure that the agreements, continue to comply with the requirements and obligations that were entered into in the first place.
Okay, council, well, it's before you. I don't get to vote on this.
One
Question. Who has a question? Go.
So, let me get this straight, and take it how you will. A lot of people had the idea that when we chose RDICO, the weakness that was very commonly known, and especially upon this dais, is that there wasn't funding for it. And so the long term, I think what you're saying without saying, and I guess I want the community to understand explicitly, is that we basically agreed, correct me if I'm wrong, we agreed to go into this negotiating agreement with RDICO, and we knew as a council that, like most developers who buy massive plots of land like this, they could divvy it up and sell it into different pieces or whatever. Are you telling me that happened with the entire property to this new developer? They sold it. We agreed to work with them, and then they sold it already, and they get to just make money off of it.
Well, they haven't, I wouldn't say they've sold it. They've entered into a partnership with Lincoln Property Group, Lincoln Property Company. That's what they've done. So they remain in it, but in essence, the beauty of this solution is that there's one master developer for the site who will develop all components of it.
My colleague trusts it. I'd like to hear from the rest of the council.
Councilman Alexander, sir.
Thank you, sir. So what I'm trying to understand is I'm reading right here from, it says the terms of the ENA and the negotiation period thereunder is hereby extended for 1 year and shall now expire on Tuesday, September 12, 2023.
That is correct.
I thought the ENA was done.
The current ENA iteration expires in September of this year. Again, we're extending it out to September of next year. And again,
I can't hear you. I'm sorry.
Apologies. The current iteration, the Second Amendment, expires in September of this year.
Right.
Through this ENA, if approved, this third ENA, it would be extended out to September again for us to have the necessary time to do our negotiations, if you will, properly with Lincoln to move this project forward to a very successful outcome.
And I want a successful outcome, but we moved this along, this council moved this along really quickly with the first iteration of this ENA. I think we gave them 6 months. Right. And now we're going to extend it another year. And what is that? And before you answer that question, I'm sorry, I'm skipping, so please, I apologize. What does that do to the DDA? Because I thought we were on track to complete the DDA.
So the DDA is the ultimate outcome of our negotiations, the conclusion of the ENA. All we're saying is that with Lincoln on, we need more time to negotiate that. Again, roughly a year. Lincoln's coming into this late in the game, if you will. We need that time to negotiate a development agreement that is mutually beneficial for the city and for them as well.
So what is changing? If we're just bringing on a new partner, what is changing so vastly that you need a whole year?
Well, to be fair, Councilman, we're asking for a year. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to take a year.
But to be honest, if we give you a year, you'll take it.
Well, our goal as staff is always to negotiate the best possible deal in the most expedient time.
Well, see, the question is that I know you're new, but we've been trying to get this done, this completed for a while. And now you're asking for a year. You're asking for every resident under the sound of my voice to wait another year before anything is done. And I don't find that acceptable, to wait another year when you just bring on a new partner. There's things that need to move with a little bit more urgency, and I don't hear the urgency in your voice, and maybe that's not you, but I don't see the urgency in this document because people are waiting. We're waiting. So where's the urgency?
So let me take a crack at part of this. First of all, remember the word, there's no absolute standard definition of ENA or DDA. So a lot of what we would ordinarily accomplish in a DDA is actually going to be accomplished in this iteration of the ENA with Lincoln. Lincoln is not a slow-moving entity. On the contrary, you should see their the scheduled performance is in here. It's a very aggressive scheduled performance. They want to move this along as quickly as they possibly can. They don't have any interest. They're not one who likes to buy and hold. They don't like buy and sit on stuff. They buy to develop. And so the fact that they are here and have the capacity that they have, both technical and financial, is the kind of presence that we need here in order to have this project happen in the first place. If we don't do this, I don't know what the future of the project is.
I'm not saying don't. I said I don't see any urgency. Is Lincoln here tonight?
Their representative is home ill. Otherwise, he would be.
So a company of that capacity has one person.
They have a lead representative for this project. His name is Stephen Lindgren. I've met with him multiple times. He's the guy.
Well, and I hear you, but I find that disconcerting. A company of such capacity has one person, so when one person goes down, no one can represent them to come before this council to answer any questions. You don't find that disconcerting?
No,
one person?
Not in this instance, no. We have a great deal of confidence in Lincoln's ability to perform.
Yeah, but they're not before us.
They could have been on Zoom, right?
We could bring them in by Zoom. Are we allowed to bring them in by Zoom?
I mean, they're not a member of the elected body. I don't know that you could make that happen now. It would have to probably be pre-established. I have seen some council meetings where we are inviting consultants and having reports given by Zoom, but I don't know that you're technologically set up to do that at this moment.
Are we ever let somebody come in?
So can we, is it okay if we table it then for the next council meeting?
It would be our, let's, I think we can bring them in. We do have the ability to bring them in by Zoom. I think so.
Yeah, because I think the public deserves to know who they are and what they've done. For example, like how we had our Renaissance Downtown and ICO present their cases before us.
Their experience, there's a snapshot of their experience in the staff report. Page 21, I think. So no, there's a discussion of their capacity in the staff report.
Okay, and if they're right on board, then there shouldn't be any more extensions. Just keep going with the timeline we provided.
Mr. Field, let's bring this back home. I think what I sense from the council is that there is capacity for Lincoln Properties to certainly undergo such this monumental task. However, the nuances and kind of the lag time, this is now the third amendment to the ENA, that's troubling. I mean, if I were a voting council member here, I'd say no. I'd question it to death because the original agreement extended twice, two agreements, so attachment 2, attachment 3, we've given it to you. We've given you a lot of rope to now provide something to the community, and you're not performing. So the only consternation that I think the council has is on you, your inactivity to either leverage the deal, broker the deal, bring members to the council, and provide a thorough presentation of who Lincoln Properties is. So that's troubling. I mean, there is cause for alarm that we're not getting the material before us so we can make a good decision. Now, my position has always been that Lincoln Properties, I vetted them, I know of their caliber, I trust them, I understand it. My continued concern is, why then do we have these other two partners? I don't think there's a very good, maybe Mr. Monti's here. Sir, grab the podium mic. Thank you. Great to see you tonight. There you go, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. And sorry, I can't see everyone here, so I just want to go back to the original.
Would you identify yourself, sir?
Donald Monti, a member of RDICO.
Thank you, sir.
And just want to go back to Councilman Reynoso's initial comment as to did we sell? We didn't sell anything. I think if everyone were apprised of what's gone on over the last 6 months or even a year, it would be very helpful to the council and the mayor to know what took place. That being said, if we look at the ENA, one of our, not an option, it's almost a requirement that we bring in national developers to work with us, whether they be project joint venture partners, whether they be vertical participants. This was a requirement of ours. So what I'm a little bit confused about is I would assume that that would be a celebratory occasion for the mayor and the council to know that we did bring in someone we were entrusted to do. So we weren't entrusted to sell. We weren't entrusted to get out. I think we moved mountains to get where we are in terms of, I can't control what happens on the part of the city. I can only control with Gian what happens on our part. And I think we did our job. So I'd be happy to answer any further questions. But no, we did not sell. No, we have no intentions of. But the point being, we were required to do what we're doing. And if you look at the ENA and our performance schedule, it clearly states that.
So then, Mr. Monti, why do you need to be involved? If Lincoln Properties has been identified in the 3rd ENA as the party that we want to play ball with, why you?
Well,
why are you still involved?
When you say the party you want to play ball with, why are you saying that you would like us to be out of the deal? Or if we have nothing to really say going forward from a development standpoint with the city manager?
No, it was a question, Mr. Monti.
Okay, what is the question?
Why then, why do you need to be involved?
Well, because I put 3 years of my life into this to help create this. I'm not in the business to sell things. I'm in the business to make things happen. And I think we did our job to make things happen. I guess I would reverse the question. Why would you want us not to be involved? That's what I would want to know.
Well, thank you. The burden's on you to provide convincing information why you still need to be involved.
No, I don't know why that's a burden.
It's not going to be a back and forth.
No, but I'd be glad to answer any of the council persons. Why is it a burden for me to say that I brought in a national developer to become our partner? Why is that bad? Please, somebody.
It's not a problem, Mr. Monti. Thank you. For the sake of housekeeping, I'd like to motion to continue this to the 2nd meeting in August so that it gives time for the city manager to educate everyone on the dais who would potentially vote on this on what the heck this is.
I just want to make sure.
It's not enough time.
Okay, there's a motion. I'm sorry. Hold on, Mr. Sanchez. There's a motion to continue it. Is there a second?
I'll second to continue.
There's a second. The motion qualifies. Mr. Sanchez, you'd like to speak to the motion?
Yes, so the Second Amendment had a first and second extension. The second extension goes until when?
Goes until September.
Okay, so in that time, what I envision happening is we'll bring Lincoln Group at the next meeting. They'll woo us. They'll tell us, hey, they're going to build this enormous, beautiful project in downtown. We'll bring them on. And then we'll begin the negotiations. And the reason why we're going to need that 2 components of 180 days is because essentially we're going to be starting with a new developer. And the mayor, despite the fact we disagree on just about everything, is right. I'm not sure there's a need to have that essentially an appendage with our first chosen developer. But you know, if they want to participate and help push this project forward, I don't think it's a hindrance. But we need to be convinced by Lincoln, and I've had conversations with the city manager and our economic development director, and they couldn't be happier with Lincoln Group. But go ahead and convince this council and the public by bringing them in at the next council meeting. Again, we'll be convinced, we'll be happy that they're on board, and then we'll begin that arduous year of negotiations with them for the sale and development of the Carousel Mall.
Is that a motion? Is that a motion?
No,
No,
there's a
we have
motion
Ben's
on the
motion.
table.
That's exactly what it is. I just
All right,
wanted
that's
to
his
talk.
commentary. Mr.
Comment.
Surratt, go ahead.
Mr.
I just
Mayor?
have one question. Is Lincoln going to be at the table after we go through all these iterations? Are they going to be still interested in participating if RDICO isn't part of the team?
RDICO will absolutely still be part of the team.
Right. So that's what, all they're doing is bringing in a third partner that's going to make this project happen.
Again, Lincoln would be the prime developer. RDICO would be their, in essence, their silent partner.
And I don't see a big problem with this.
I don't either.
Personally.
Okay, guys,
Question.
why don't we do this?
Well, wait a minute.
There's a motion to continue it.
Right. When
Go ahead, Mr. Surratt.
Well, what does continuing it do to any of this? Does it, by a couple of weeks, does this have any impact on anything?
Well, two things. It solves the issue of LP not being here because that person
Well, I
is
understand
ill.
that, John. Thank you very much. I understand that. But
So that's the main reason.
is that but is there anything else, any other urgency? I mean, you know, these types of things don't just pop up overnight. I've been going through building a house for 3 years, and things change as we go along, and talk about extensions, talk about changes in cost, talk about changes in materials, talk about things that you can't control. So everyone's asking for this to happen in 6 months. I want it 6 months, or no extensions. Well, then what do we do? Then what do we do? We throw it all out and start all over again? So I understand my colleague's concern and knowing who Lincoln is, and if we can wait a couple of weeks to have them on a Zoom or in the office, I can support that. But this is something, we've been working on this a long time, and we're getting close to really getting some things going. And extension, there will be more extensions, I would bet. Some of us won't be in office.
I would have some concern with going too much further forward on these discussions. So let's have Lincoln come in as soon as possible. Bringing folks like that in, you know, they chose to come here through efforts by Don Monty and Gian Torkin, which is a really advantageous thing. This is the point that we needed to get to.
I think that's what my question was. Would we even have Lincoln if it wasn't for these guys?
Not that I'm aware of. So, I mean, that, and again, the deal between Lincoln and RDICO, that's their business. I mean, we are kind of we'd be inserting ourselves inappropriately, I think, into the relationship between those two entities. If we demanded that there be some sort of change in their relationship. That's not our place. And our goal is to redevelop the Carousel Mall property. We have never been this close. We've never had the capacity.
I'd like to hear from Mr. Torkin.
Sorry, I didn't see us standing there, Gian. Go ahead.
So let me just clarify.
Sir, identify yourself.
Gian Torkin from ICO Real Estate Group. So essentially, what we've done, from the dais, it might not seem like there was a lot of work being done, but there was a lot of work that was done. Part of our job was to set things in place to attract national developers. We've spoken over the last few, since we've gotten this RFP, since we've been able to put the things together to attract a national developer. And we finally did attract the national developer. We've attracted a few, Lincoln being one of them. And I think it's critical. This is the second largest apartment operator in the country. And we should be absolutely pleased that we've been able to attract them. We didn't attract them to the RFP because not every component was in place for them to be attracted to this project. And it took a lot of hard work to put those components in place, to give the vision, to be able to bring them into this project. And there's going to be other developers coming into the project in the future. This is a huge project. And I know we want expediency on this. I know we want to push it quickly. In fact, I think Rob can indicate that we've actually been pushing to get this done quickly. The only reason why Lincoln is not here today is there's one main person that's been working on this project and only on this project, and he was tested positive for COVID this morning, and we advised him not to show up. We believed that he would be able to speak through Zoom, and then we found out that that's not allowed anymore under the new regulations of the city. So I really think, and I'm somewhat surprised because, you know, we've been working so hard to bring a developer that's familiar with this, with the Inland Empire, that has a vision that the city wants, that has the capabilities, that have all the components that we wanted at the table, and you have a city manager that's vetted this significantly for you, and you're looking to just move along at this point. I'm actually pretty surprised. This is a big project for the city. This is not a project that gets done quickly. There's a lot of things that need to happen. There's still a lot of challenges that need to be overcome for the project to be feasible. And this is the process that it takes. I mean, real estate projects in California take a long time. Even the entitlements won't be done in time for us to move forward quickly. So I understand that we want to make it happen quickly. If you look at the schedule of performance, and we're not starting from scratch. There's been things that have been done up to now. It just requires more time. The only thing that's changed here is rather than having those 360-something days in the DDA, it's being put in the ENA, and a part of that reason is that we've come to understand that there are some legal reasons why we should not be signing a DDA at this point until the project is entitled. And so otherwise, we could be planning a DDA and moving forward. There's really no difference between an ENA and a DDA. If you look at the schedule of performance, you see everything that would happen in a DDA is now happening in an ENA process. And so, you know, honestly, at this point, I throw my hands up. I think I've done my job. I think I brought the most capable developer to the table. It's up to the city to either let it go and start from scratch.
Mr. Torkin, let's bring this back home. The motion is to just give us a little bit more time. We're not saying no, but we're not saying yes tonight. What we're saying is give us more time to vet it. There's a motion on the table. There's a motion to continue it to the second meeting in August. Any final comments or questions? Otherwise, we'll call for a vote.
Yes.
Ms. Kelvin.
Can I ask exactly what it is that we're vetting? Exactly what it is that the council needs to vet? I believe that we've heard from city manager, we've heard from Nathan, we've heard from Gian, we've heard from Don Monte. These players have been in the game from the beginning. What exactly is it now that we need to vet? The Lincoln Group itself, or I'm not sure right now. And because if it's just communication that needed to be provided to the council, I do understand that. But we do have the ad hoc committee that is here. Excuse me, sir. We do have the ad hoc committee that is here, and we are not stating or giving any reason for there to be more question. The Lincoln Group, we can all also verify now that you have the name of that developer and vet them yourselves, look into the background. We don't want to continue to give developers the belief that it is how difficult it is to get something done here in the city of San Bernardino. And with a project this large and having a developer of this capacity, we need to move forward tonight.
Ms. Kelvin, there's been systemic failures on the updates. Originally, when this came before the city council, the directive from the city council to then city manager was that there be every 90-day, in fact, I think you even suggested every 30-day report issued to the council. That has not happened with consistency, regularity, and you should be above all familiar with this issue. In fact, you're one of the ad hoc committee members that's on the inner circle. So to somehow come off that you're not surprised, well, you're on the inner circle. You get those updates regularly. You know about Lincoln Properties. You knew about Lincoln Properties on or about June 1st when it was introduced in the ad hoc committee. many of these council members up here don't have and are not privy to a lot of the information that you, Mr. Charette, and the other council member who's on that committee received the update. So that's why we're vetting it, to answer your question. Ms. Ibarra.
Yes, when was the last time that the subcommittee met with the developers?
Was the middle of June.
I thought there was no meeting.
Okay, there's a motion and a second to continue. Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Sanchez
A point of clarification, this
Yeah,
is continued
thank
to
you.
to August 17th.
Point of clarification.
Second meeting in August, sir.
second meeting in August, so we're not expiring the negotiations. Yeah.
That's the motion. So.
We have a council meeting.
I'm sorry, council members, please.
Wait, it's first meeting or second meeting?
First, we have a council meeting.
First.
I'd like to amend it then, that we bring it back to the first meeting of August.
I'll second.
It's an amendment to the motion.
I'm out of town for the first meeting in August. I would, so second meeting, but I'm
So the
I'm
second
texting
meeting-
with Stephen Lindgren right now. He
Mr.
may be
City
able to get him in
Manager,
here.
time out, we're winning here, just relax. We have the time, this ENA is not expiring, it doesn't expire till 30 days after August, the second meeting in August, so we're gonna be fine. So that's the second point of clarity. Mr. Reynoso is request, and the motion was seconded by Ibarra, to extend it to the second meeting in August.
No, first week.
So that, well,
The initial
Mr. City
motion
Manager
was
can't do
August
it.
17th.
Withdraw your motion.
You want to withdraw your motion?
Yes, I'd like to withdraw my
All right,
motion,
so-
second for the first week
I'd
of
like
August.
to make a substitute motion.
I'm sorry, hold on. Let me try to manage the traffic here. So the substitute motion now is, Ms. Ibarra, you're suggesting now the first meeting in August? Is that your motion?
Correct.
Okay, is there a second to that?
No, that was a motion, substitute motion by Councilmember Calvin, and I seconded.
What's the original motion?
First week of
Is-
August.
Is the second meeting in August.
Okay. Is there, because you withdrew your motion. Or, sorry,
And
you
staff
withdrew
is
your
nodding their head that they can't be here, and they're not here for the first meeting in August, guys. So let's
Just-
work
just
with
me,
staff.
but-
Do we need the city manager? We have an assistant city manager.
Either one works for me.
I'd like to make a substitute motion that we approve this tonight and move forward.
Well, that's the staff
I
recommendation.
mean, this is exactly what we're talking about. Everyone's talking about more time, and everyone's asking for more time. Makes no sense. It makes no sense.
So, all right, so.
So
Ms.
I'd make a substitute motion that we move forward with the recommendation tonight.
Well, the
Second.
chair will recognize only Ms. Ibarra at this time. Ms. Ibarra, you finished with your recommendation or your motion?
Yes,
Ma'am,
yes,
what's your motion?
to bring it back in first week of August.
Is there a second? Is there a second?
Yes.
There's a second for the first meeting in August. So the next council meeting, let's not be complicated. All right.
Mr. Mayor, may I make a request also, please?
Go ahead, sir.
The only thing I would like to do is...
I'm sorry, Ms. City Attorney.
I think you're in the middle of making a motion. We had a presentation. I think you need to vote. With all due respect to our applicant, we do have a process, and you're interfering with that process right now with the council.
All right.
I'm sorry, we have to follow the rules.
All right, so the motion is to bring it back at the next council meeting, which is the first meeting in August. There's a second. Any final comments or questions before we call the roll? It's like- Okay, so, Ms. City Clerk, help me, please. There's been an alternate motion by Councilman Charette
And
to-
seconded by Councilmember Calvin.
to approve it tonight. All right, so members, we'll cast our votes on that. If that fails, then we'll proceed on to Ms. Ibarra's recommendation to bring it back for a 2-week vetting process. Members will cast their votes as a roll call vote on the item before you by Charette and Calvin to pass the staff recommendation tonight. Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Sanchez.
Recommendation?
Yes.
Yes.
Councilmember Ibarra.
No,
Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes.
Councilmember Charette.
Yes.
Councilmember Reynoso.
No.
Councilmember Calvin.
Yes.
Councilmember Alexander.
Nay.
Motion passes 4-3 with Councilmembers Ibarra, Reynoso, and Alexander voting in opposition.
Okay, I'll veto the 4-3. So it's back on the motion. The default is the motion before us to bring it back to council, the next council meeting. Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Sanchez.
Yes.
Councilmember Ibarra.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes.
Councilmember Charette.
No.
Councilmember Reynoso.
Yes.
Councilmember Calvin.
No.
Councilmember Alexander.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes to bring it back to the meeting in August with Councilmembers Charette.
The first
and
meeting in August.
Sorry, first meeting in August. Councilmembers Charette and Calvin voted in opposition.
Very good on a 5-2. Thank you very much. Okay, let's move on.
We can
to-
still bring Lincoln Group to come and give a presentation. I would like for the
I
public
think
to
they
be
should
aware
be
of their
here, Mr.
capacity.
City Manager, so, yeah. Okay, this is item number 3, annual increases per bargaining unit MOUs, correction to reclassification of Deputy Director of Public Works, City Engineer, and the City Clerk Agreement. Mr. City Manager, sir?
Yeah, the staff report on this will be provided by Barbara Whitehorn, Agency Director, Administrative Services.
This is mainly a routine matter with the MOUs from last year, which were approved by council. This is a continuation of those memorandums of understanding with each of the bargaining units, where we're enacting the cost of living adjustments in each of those MOUs. It is also a correction from the last council meeting to the range that was approved for the city engineer. The range that was brought before you was incorrect. So this also includes a correction to that range. And I apologize for that from the last council meeting.
Okay, is there a
Oh,
motion
and
for
the city
approval?
clerk, I apologize, the city clerk's agreement that you approved in closed session at the last meeting. Sorry, I
On June
forgot that,
15th.
even though it was in the title.
Yes.
So, sorry, it's getting late.
Okay, thank you. There's a
Ma-
motion before you.
Mayor, if I
Yes.
may, we have to read out the terms of the agreement
On who? City Clerk
for the city clerk,
or the City Engineer?
the city clerk
Okay.
employment agreement amendment.
As she's doing that, just remember, state law requires when you enter into an agreement with an executive that you have to read out separately the terms, and those executives would be city manager, city clerks, and city attorney.
I will read them into the record now. So we are moving the city clerk's compensation to the midpoint of the new compensation range. And the compensation range that we're adopting is based upon the class and comp results. And then also a modest increase in severance for not-for-cause termination up to a maximum of 6 months after 2 more years of service. And redirecting the employment agreement to the new executive resolution plan where all the other executives reside. And that concludes the oral report.
Great, thank you, Ms. Evelyn. All right, members, you have the recommendation before you. Is there a motion?
I'll move it. Second.
All right. Any objections? None. I hear none. So ordered. Item number 3. All right, let's move on to item number 4, Carousel Mall Demolition and Professional Services Agreement for 24/7 Security Services. The recommendation there before you twofold, and we will turn to our city manager. Sir?
Staff report on this will be provided for us by Daniel Hernandez, the Agency Director of Public Works Operations and Maintenance. Daniel.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, members of the City Council. Before you this evening are the 2 recommendations that the Mayor described. First is to direct the City Manager to prepare and issue the necessary documents for the demolition of the Carousel Mall through a design-build contract. And second is to authorize the City Manager to execute a month-to-month professional services agreement between the City and Redwood Private Security for a 24/7 security patrol of the Carousel Mall. So prior to taking action on the recommendations, I'll provide some background and information on the 2 items. The mall, a 43-acre property located in downtown, was opened in 1972. By the 80s, the mall began to decline, and efforts were made to rebrand the mall as we know it now as the Carousel Mall. By the 2000s, the anchor stores began to close their doors, leaving the inline tenants in the mall. And after 45 years of operation, the Carousel Mall closed its door to the public in 2017. Although the closure impacted the community, it's created a new opportunity for growth and development in downtown, which was tied to the earlier item that was discussed by the agency director of economic development. This property has been identified as one of the main catalysts for future revitalization of downtown and is of key importance to the city's future success. However, in its current state, the Carousel Mall has become a health and safety burden on the city. Transients have continued to intrude through the doors and through the roof, causing structural damage to the building and removing wiring and valuable items in order to collect money for salvaging. In addition, the recent May 2022 three-alarm fire inside the mall created more structural damage. In the past 12 months, 3 fires were reported caused by transients. Vandalism and breaching of the property creates cost and potential liability to the city. Over the last 2 months, staff has spent over $10,000 in materials and after-hours calls, which result in overtime, on securing the building after it has been breached. This total excludes the amount of staff time during the regular workday to address issues, which distracts from the day-to-day duties. According to our facilities manager, employees spend approximately 25% of their time addressing the issues associated with vandalism and breaching of the mall. The time spent on the mall takes away from valuable resources from the city to address maintenance and repair needs through our current occupied buildings in the city. Neighboring landlords have also raised concerns about the condition of the mall and its impact on their properties. As staff, we recognize the condition of downtown as a collective responsibility of all landlords, and by addressing the condition at the Carousel Mall, it will help mitigate some of these concerns of neighboring property owners. With that said, staff strongly believes that the demolition of the Carousel Mall is a viable solution to prevent safety and health concerns, eliminate the need to allocate valuable city resources, and reduce and eliminate the cost of maintaining a vacant building. The demolition of the Carousel Mall may also help facilitate, incentivize, and expedite the future development of the site. In order to expedite the demolition, staff recommends the preparation and issuance of documents to facilitate a design-build contract pursuant to the city's municipal code, chapter 12.21. And if authorized by the city council tonight, a request for qualification will be issued. Staff will then evaluate those responses to determine which firm would be invited to participate in an RFP process. From that, staff will then evaluate proposals in response to the RFP to determine which firm is best suited to deliver the project effectively and efficiently. Upon evaluation, staff will return to the city council to request the award of the design-build contract. Proposed timeline was provided in the staff report, which shows the issuance of the RFQ being released on July 26th, and for us coming back to the city council on October 19th to award the design-build contract. With this said, the city council may opt not to proceed with the demolition of the Carousel Mall at this time. In that event, the demolition of the mall will be addressed as part of the development efforts. In parallel to the demolition, staff is also recommending 24/7 patrol of the mall due to the aforementioned vandalism and trespassing. Staff solicited 4 informal proposals for security services to patrol the mall to prevent unlawful activity on a month-to-month basis. The proposed service is for a 3-shift patrol of 8 hours each. So we will have a morning shift, a midday shift, and an evening shift. The first shift will be patrolled by 1 officer and 1 vehicle, while the 2 remaining shifts will be patrolled by 2 officers and 1 vehicle. A table of the proposed monthly totals were provided in the staff report and range from $36,936 to $228,107 per month. So based on the review of the proposal, staff recommends that the mayor and the city council authorize the city manager to execute a month-to-month professional services agreement with Redwood Private Security. Although Redwood's proposed rate is $2,848 higher than City Guard, staff believes that being based in San Bernardino and their familiarity with the city best suits them to meet the city's high expectations. Their patrol will focus on problematic areas to prevent access and vandalism. In addition, each shift will conduct one interior sweep of the mall to remove trespassers, which is currently not being done by our current contractor, which is not part of their scope of service. Redwood will work closely with staff and the police department to safeguard the building and the grounds as best as possible. If this contract is authorized, Redwood would begin on August 1st. Staff anticipates that the contract continuing through the conclusion of demolition. Lastly, the City Council may choose not to authorize the security contract and instead continue with the existing much more limited security system, services, which we believe is to be ineffective. That concludes my report, and myself and the City Engineer, Mr. Alex Kishtar, are available to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. All right, the motion is there before you, council members. Items 1 and 2, is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Second
I
by,
have questions first.
Right, question.
We have a question.
I'm sorry, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Charette. Ms. Kelvin.
Mr. Hernandez, thank you so much for that information. This is also to City Manager Field. I just need to understand the fee for the demolition was to be part of the ENA, correct?
That would be our intention, yes. Now, none of these actions, by the way, commit any money except for the security, but it would factor into the discussions on the.
It was factored into the sale.
Purchase price.
It was factored into the sale. Yes.
It was going to be, well, the original intention was, the reason we're bringing this forward now is that we're concerned about the condition of the building and the hazardous conditions that are being created in it, and the hazards also to buildings next door, like the Harris's building and the Andreessen the Enterprise building. So our intention with this is to accelerate the demolition, so we pay for it and get reimbursed through the purchase of the property by hopefully Lincoln Property. So that's the intention.
I understand, but the original question was that it was to be part of the sale, correct?
It was going to be
And
the
now we're
responsibility
moving
of the
forward,
buyer.
and now we're moving forward due to the amount of vandalism that is taking place inside of the Carousel Mall.
That is correct.
Okay. And then we will have the fee for the demolition then will be built in to the sale with, hopefully,
That's correct.
with Lincoln
That's the
Group.
intention, yes.
That's the intention. Thank you.
Okay, there's a
Question.
motion. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Thank you. I'm trying to get the security aspect here, and thank you for your report. I appreciate it. I'm just trying to get the security part here. So we're going to pay, well, let me go back. Doesn't Platinum already provide security for the mall?
They do, but at a very minimal capacity right now. So they are also responsible for our other government buildings. So they only do a one stop in their shift to check the perimeter.
So why are we just not extending them a little more, extending our contract to them a little more than what they already have instead of hiring somebody new? And two, they're going to be this extra security 24/7. It's going to cost us $477,420 a year.
That's correct.
Where is that coming from?
We're going to have to find that in the city's budget. We don't really see that we have much of an option. There's no other alternative to providing security, and we're causing there's a significant problem with the condition it's in now.
Mr. City Manager.
We continue to have fires.
So,
Mr. City Manager, can't we book this on part of the ROPS, Department of Finance, as an expense, since this is former RDA property?
It's actually been transferred to the city. We will be exploring options for both paying for the demolition and for the security. So the short answer is yes, potentially we can. We've already had those conversations, so potentially yes.
So, because I'm trying to figure out if we're going to spend close to because I don't know how long this is going to take to demo, right? No one here can give me an answer. Since no one here can give me an answer how much this is going to cost or how long it's going to take to demo the mall, then physically it's going to impact something else in our city budgets, trees, streets, roads, something. It's going to lose out.
There are actually different colors of money available to us. Mayor pointed out one of the specialized sets of money that does not affect any of the general funded efforts that the city engages in on a regular basis. In terms of how long it will take, we have to get past this point so we can get out and see how much it's going to cost. We don't know the actual cost because we haven't bid the work out yet. The intention would be that the 24/7 security would then be responsibility would be passed on to the demolition contractor as part of their contract. So the sooner we can get to demolition.
Is that in your report? Did I miss that part?
So that is not a part of the report. That's actually was going to be my response. So in terms of the fiscal impact, we currently have security services budgeted. So if we're able to execute on this schedule, there will be a budget appropriation that's needed, but a smaller impact because we currently have $800,000 budgeted for our overall services. So there is no immediate impact. Their services will be able to pay under our existing line item in our budget. However, because of this increased scope, we will at some point have to make a budget amendment. But at this current juncture, we have sufficient funds in the new budget to cover the costs associated with this request.
So we have funds in the new budget to cover this cost?
Yes, however, we're going to outspend what our budget is. So at some point, we'll have to come back for a budget appropriation. But to the city manager's point, we will include this in the part of our RFQ, RFP process so that the cost is passed on to the developer. Obviously, it's a higher proposal amount because they have to factor that cost into what they're providing.
Mm-hmm.
But in the interim, we have sufficient funds in our current operating budget to absorb this. But once we bring all the items together, because we don't know how long this is going to be, so it's
my point exactly.
And at this point, it would be inappropriate to ask for the full amount because we may not use the full amount, right? So we have sufficient funds to get us through October, and at that point, when we come back, we would understand what our shortfall may be.
Okay, but please, in the future, let us know a little ahead of time what you're going on, what especially impacts other areas and aspects of public works or any other department, libraries or whatever, because it matters.
Understood.
Okay, members, I'm sorry, Mayor Pro Tem, go ahead.
Thank you. I'm hearing two things. I'm hearing that potentially security services is going to be passed along to the demolition company. But in the staff report, the verbal report, I'm hearing that it was going to be provided through the conclusion of the demolition. I heard that in the verbal report.
So that is correct, that the security services will be throughout the process.
Okay,
right
but
now,
we won't be footing the bill.
Exactly.
Okay. And so then obviously we would withdraw providing security service or paying for it once the demolition begins. The problem is we don't know when that's going to happen. Another thing that we don't know is what potential roadblocks could, that we don't know about that could potentially stop it from even moving forward. And then we'd just be providing security indefinitely. Is there anything that we can foresee that could be a potential problem with starting the demolition?
So we,
environmental,
at least in the initial staff's perspective, we don't, to get us through to October, we don't see any issues. Obviously, once a demo firm is on the design build contract, they're going to do those environmental assessments, but at that point, that then takes the course of the project. But to get us to where we need to be in order to release the document, to bring it back before the city council, we see this as a pretty straightforward process.
Okay.
So we don't really anticipate, and the beauty of our contract right now is that it's on a month-to-month basis, so the termination allows it, and the contractor is fully aware of that, and they've accepted those terms. One of the firms that was on the list basically only told us that they could only enter into a one-year agreement because of the initial startup costs. But Redwood has indicated that they have the staff, they have the vehicles to be able to absorb on a month-to-month contract.
It's a 43-page exhibit on pages 39 through following. It clearly gives us those options and severability, so it is a month-to-month, it's a 1 year, and we're good to go.
And then finally, if it is in the interest of getting this done as soon as possible, I would encourage we explore the option of allowing 24-hour demolition because it isn't in a residential area. Would we be able to waive the restricted hours?
So we'll evaluate our municipal code. Downtown, obviously, after hours, there isn't a lot of activity, so this may be low risk, but we'll have to verify that with our municipal code, work with community development, and making sure that we're not violating any ordinances.
Well, there is a municipal code that says you can't swing a hammer before 6 or after 6 p.m., so we'd have to contemplate it at that time.
But that would also help with it in terms of being able to
get it done faster.
Right. But we'll explore that as part of the RFP process as well.
Okay, I would recommend that.
All right, thank you.
Great.
Thanks.
Let's get it done. Okay, there's a motion and a second. Members, cast your votes. Let's take a roll call.
And I have a question. Just, the difference between Redwood Private Security and Platinum Security right now, what is the only difference between those two companies, the contract? Is it that, okay, so they're both doing the perimeter, correct, of the Carousel Mall? And is Redwood having access into the Carousel Mall? 'Cause
So-
that's where all the fires are starting inside the building.
So currently, Platinum just does a perimeter sweep and reports anything that's happening. They do go on the inside when we request them to go on the inside, but that's not but when we request them to go on the inside, it takes away from their other routes that they're doing. So they're on a scheduled route, but if we ask them to go into the mall, then that detracts from the current service that's provided. This is specifically dedicated to the Carousel Mall, and they will actually go inside 3 times a day to basically shoo away whoever's not supposed to be there, which is currently not happening.
Helpful. Yes, because I remember there was a fire that happened, I want to say early June. I drove by and I saw Platinum Security doing their perimeter at the Carousel Mall, and then within an hour, I got notified there was a fire that started inside the mall. So that's why I'm asking these questions, because a lot of the people that are starting these fires are breaking in from the top of the building or on the sides and starting their fires.
So there's going to be a lot more access point, obviously a lot more, they're solely dedicated, so they're going to make a lot more rounds on the building. So, one of the challenges that we have right now is the facility's really large, right? It's really large. So once they go to one side of the building, you lose visibility to the other side of the building, right? So they're going to do more regular, because that's the only service that we'll be providing, and in addition to the interior sweep, which we feel is going to be an extreme benefit to that service that's being provided.
Because for the money that we're paying them, I just,
Okay, there's
I
been a
hope they're
call
able
for
to
the
catch all
question.
the entryways.
Ms. Barr, thank you.
I was not done. Thank
We'll call for the question here. There's been a request. Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Sanchez?
Yes.
Councilmember Ibarra?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes.
Councilmember Charette?
Yes.
Councilmember Reynoso?
No.
Councilmember Calvin?
Yes.
Councilmember Alexander?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes
Wow,
6-1.
thank you, council. That is, I'll buy you ice cream after this. That's great, council. We got something done here tonight. Thank you. Sir?
Ryan Stanley of the Enterprise Building, directly touching the Carousel Mall property. Just speaking on Platinum, they don't really come to us. They ignore our calls. We'd love something else, please.
Thank you, sir. All right, let's move on to, this is item number 5. San Bernardino Active Transportation Plan. It's a
Move to
very
approve.
comprehensive
Second.
plan. Oh, great. Suspend the hearing? Great. Okay. Suspend presentation. There's a motion, a second to approve the staff recommendation. Any final comments or questions? All right, members, any objections to item number 5? Any objections to item number 5? Seeing none, hearing none, so ordered. Item number 5 is approved. Thank you. Thank you. And I want to compliment the community for, especially, I know that Councilman Figueroa in the 3rd Ward was very active, engaged, and encouraging people to comment throughout our community. There's over 200 comments on the active transportation plan, and I was very, very amused and pleased by our council and our community by providing these comments in both written and the public forums, and so we thank you, and we thank our consultant very much. Thank you. All right, at this time, I am going to go ahead and depart tonight's meeting. You have my aforementioned council conflicts, and so I will continue that and leave the room. And good evening, and thank you all. I'll hand it over to the Mayor Pro Tem.
Mayor, he's going to need the remaining speaker slips. Okay.
Okay, so we're moving on to consent, correct? All right, we'll go up the line here. Councilmember Sanchez, any pools?
Yeah, the repaving of the parking lot, 16, and it's just a question.
Okay.
Or comment. Can I make that now, or should I wait?
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, we're repaving part of that parking that parking space over there. If in fact that whole parking lot belongs to the city, I would ask that we make every effort to get that paved as soon as possible, whether it's through this or contingency.
Are we talking
It's a
about
friendly
Villasenor?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Paul Villasenor branch.
Okay,
All right?
we'll look into
Make
it.
every effort, honest effort, I'm sure you will.
Not a problem.
That's it. That's the only comment I have for that.
Okay, so it's not pulled. Okay. Councilmember Ibarra?
No polls.
None? Okay, I have none. Councilmember Charette? None. Councilmember Reynoso?
Number 32.
32. Councilmember Calvin?
None.
None. And Councilmember Alexander?
Nay.
None. Okay, may I have a motion to move the balance? Councilmember Charette?
Second.
Second.
I didn't hear the second, I'm sorry.
Councilmember Calvin.
Okay. May we please have a vote for the balance?
Councilmember Sanchez. Yes. Councilmember Ibarra.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes.
Councilmember Charette. Councilmember Reynoso.
Yes.
Councilmember Calvin.
Yes.
Councilmember Alexander.
Aye.
And then, Mayor Pro Tem, we are continuing item 20 to the August 3rd meeting.
All right, so item number 32.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Mr. Kista, what do I have to do to get the storm drain on the capital improvement plan? The Verdamont storm drain?
The Verdamont storm drain, that is what we talked about, which is the Myers channel. This is going to be an RFP. That is, we need to have a consultant to come and evaluate the whole thing. So we are in the process of preparing the RFP. It's just like we have not yet finished it at this point of time because there is a lot of information need to be get into it. But we are working on it, and we hopefully that we'll get that RFP out before the end of the year. But we're working on it.
You've told me that for a long time.
I completely understand, but there is a lot of issues that goes into this for the study because it's a huge area that is need to be studied, so we can make sure that we're addressing the right problem.
Yeah, okay. Well, I trust you to get on it.
We will.
It's significant, it's huge, so it needs to be acknowledged, and it feels like it's not being acknowledged.
Believe me, it is acknowledged. We're talking about it. We get the emails from Mitchell about everything that we have. But, it's just like we need the time to put that document together and to be a very solid document so we don't have any issue in the future when we have a consultant on board that can do that for us.
Sooner than later, please. I'll make a motion to approve.
We have a motion and a second. Any objections? Hearing none. Okay, I have a lot of speaker slips here. So, Ms. City Attorney, do I do this as speaker slips first, or do I continue on to the items for future meetings since that's
My
not-
understanding, those speaker slips were related to public comments for items not on the agenda, so you could complete the agenda and then go back to that.
move on to this?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you recall what item that was?
I don't know, I don't have. Is this round? Okay, yeah, it's, yep, go ahead, please. I mean.
Good evening. Actually, good night. My name is Ronald Donis. I'm a resident of the First Ward, Haynes Park neighborhood. I came here to speak about item 36 on the agenda. Somehow I'm here a couple hours later. I just want to first start. I do want to start about our police department shooting a community member in the back. The council has asked for patience and transparency, which I agree, but the police department has been slow to respond to a state audit pointing out racism in the department. I did speak to the police chief. He says the report has been responded to and addressed about 3 weeks ago. The department is not releasing the response. I am going to follow with the city clerk's office and the California State Auditor's office who got that response to try and get a copy of it. I suggest you do the same. as this document and the recommendations that the state made have a credible bearing on that recent shooting, and also on item 36 and what we saw a lot of people come out here to speak about, the treatment of the street vendors by police. Our department has been called out, and you heard the speakers come out personally about how they feel about being over-policed and how aggressively they're going after the street vendors. This is why we need a center for the street vendors. So if they, and again, I don't know if some people didn't understand because a lot of it was in Spanish and in English and stuff, and I know some people behind me making some comments. What the vendors were saying were that there is processes, there are clinics like at the Mexican consulate, but all the departments didn't show up, or they were provide information, they weren't getting the help that they needed, or there wasn't information in a language that they could access it. So definitely we need a center for them. And the whole, why is the burden on the city or on herself? There's a burgeoning art scene in the city of San Bernardino. Downtown, a lot of young artists. Part of this art scene is the street vendors. There's a lot of gastronomical wonders on our streets. A lot of great places that serve great food that get thousands of reviews. They don't have their own place, but there's a different kind of culture, something different that's going on the streets of San Bernardino, and stamping it out is not the way to go about it. We need to embrace this. We want to clean up our streets. Street vendors are a lot better than what we've seen before. These are not the people that should be targeted by police action. These are compliance issues. There shouldn't be any police out there. It should be code enforcement officers, civil officers. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on to items to be considered for future meetings. Item number 36, Councilmember Reynoso.
We heard a ton from community members today. I'd just like to make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion, we have second. We'll proceed to the vote.
Councilmember Sanchez? Councilmember Ibarra?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes.
Councilmember Charette? Councilmember Reynoso?
Yes.
Councilmember Calvin?
Yes.
Councilmember Alexander?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes unanimous.
Thank you. And then item number 37, Councilmember Alexander. Councilmember Alexander.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for the council. I'll wait. Just recommendation that our fleet become compliant with a green fleet, that we try to move our fleet to other than fossil fuels for the city, to be a leader in that particular area. That's all.
Motion to approve.
There's a motion and a second. Council members, please cast your votes.
Councilmember Sanchez? Councilmember Ibarra?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes.
Councilmember Charette? Councilmember Reynoso?
Yes.
Councilmember Calvin?
Yes.
Councilmember Alexander?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, so then we're going to wrap up with the final public speakers here. I have Juan Terran. Is he present? No. Robert Porter, followed by David Friedman. Mr. Porter.
Mayor Pro Tem, Council, good people. Waited a long time to do this speech. I just wanted to mention, first of all, that, with the street vending and stuff, we use a big stick, but maybe we should use a little carrot. I was thinking that maybe there's some way we could do some type of free enterprise zone that would have like all three, an insurance person, someone who would give them a permit for a day, and someone who could do the county permit for a day, and then they could practice and see what it's like, and then maybe do it again the next week, and then at that time you could show them the process of getting, a year-long permit in the benefits of doing that. And the other thing is that maybe they don't have some of the equipment necessary. Maybe we could buy some of that and say, hey, if you guys do get a permit, then you can get this free hand washing station, or give them a little carrot, right? So there's a few things that I'm looking at there that we could embrace them, because eventually, if they do come into the fold, then we get those tax dollars and those permit fees, and it helps the city altogether. And maybe then that would give code enforcement more time to go look for the errant political signs that are all over the city littering it, especially from our mayor and in the Second Ward, Terry Elliott. Those signs are everywhere. Those things need to be picked up. That's just awful. That's litter to me. That's littering. And if they have the time to put those things up, they should be able to go and pick them and take them down. I don't understand that. Then the Arts and Historical Preservation Commission, we're doing a great job. Right now we're working on getting the monuments fixed. So if you know any historical monuments throughout the city, they're working on that process. I want to thank the city manager and the director of Parks and Rec for working that out. We're going to get the Veterans Rock fixed, and then the Angel on the west side, that the wing's broken off. We're going to get that fixed. So we'll get some of these monuments looking good. And the other thing I'd like to mention is that we're charging fees to artists to show their art at our events. And if you're a poor, struggling artist, it's sometimes very hard to come up with the money for that. So maybe maybe we could set aside some monies, maybe $10,000 or $5,000 that would pay for them to get their insurance and their permit just to show their art. Or maybe they're doing a live performance, or maybe even to the extreme, let them sell their art and make a little money too. That money, some of it in permit fees would end up coming back into the budget anyways. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have David Friedman, followed by Tansu Philip, followed by Phil Ugaldi. Any of them here? Ryan Stanley. I don't know what the first name is. Last name is Wright. Chachi Wright. Followed by, are you Mr. Wright? Right. Okay, please.
Okay. Didn't think this time would actually ever happen. As you can see, the room is completely empty, so I don't care about platitudes or accolades. My name is Chache Wright. I am the San Bernardino branch president of NAACP. I came here primarily to be in support of the people who are outraged about what happened to the young man this weekend. Our condolences go out to their family deeply. We've got a lot of calls about this. I mean, a lot, way more than any calls or situations that have happened. People are extremely upset about this incident. Chief Goodman, you know I've always been in support of you being here. Council members, I've always been in support of you guys. But this incident has a lot of potential to go the wrong direction if you aren't being extremely transparent and very communicative with the community. I've already spoken to our legal chair. You all know Mr. Hardy Brown. He will be down here barking at y'all if we don't get some form of communication. I spoke with the family today, and they felt like they weren't getting the information that they needed back from this leadership in this community. So I wanted to be clear that the San Bernardino NAACP has been here, and we will definitely be much louder if we don't get the results and the justice and unity that we need for our community. This is a very, very sensitive issue on both sides. And we can't just brush it under the rug and say, oh, we're just going to support the chief, because that's what's good. Because the people in the community are hurt by this. I came up in this very city, used to come to this library, read every day. And to see stuff like this happening, seeing young black men gunned down, shot in the back, or brown brothers and sisters getting vilified and treated like criminals because they're trying to make a living. That's not what this city is about. So I'm just encouraging everyone to really, really process that it's not just us versus them, or we're trying to avoid a lawsuit. We got a bigger responsibility than that. We also just want to definitely put that out there. We're encouraging everyone here to come out to our event this Saturday. It is not driven toward a rally or a protest. It's just a community event, just to have everybody. It'll be at New Hope Missionary Baptist Church on the west side of San Bernardino, right across the street from the hospital. And just come out and just show that you're for the community and not just here to push agendas and look the part. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Luis Ojeda, followed by Kristen Malapi, followed by Edwin Johnson. Mr. Ojeda.
Thank you. I was about to leave. It was a long meeting. Well, thank you, everybody. I wanted to have the opportunity to speak in Spanish, but everybody left. So today was very interesting to find out that some people finally realized that there's street vendors, Mr. Reynoso. I mean, it seems like you're so disconnected with this community. I mean, for 4 years, me, We Are the Change, and many of our volunteers have helped them reach out to the county, to the city. We helped to pass the ordinance to be allowed to have street vending. But everybody talks about the police, try to make them a criminal. Enough is enough. Well, it sounds good, But at the end of the day, when do we apply the rules, the regulations, and the law? When? Because we came out with SV Food Fest for the same reason. They told us, we don't have a place to do a legal street vending. And then, why don't we get a place? Oh, yeah, okay. So who's going to get it? You. And I did. And we spent a lot of money. We got the permits. We got the insurance. We lobbied the city. We were doing our events every week, every Saturday for over a year. And many of the vendors that were here tonight, okay, they were invited to participate. And then I was the bad guy. Why? Because guess what? I asked for permits. Oh my goodness. Even you here at the dais accused me of stealing from them. Whenever you want, I can take you to my accountant to show you how much I spent in the last 3 years trying to help our people. Because it's easy to be emotional and enough is enough and they're taking advantage of our people. How about our pallet people? Remember last time you want to demonize them? They were causing fires. They need help too. How about the truck drivers? You pick on them all the time. There are people too. So why? They're small businesses. You know what happened with the law in California that everybody needs to be now their own little company? The extra burden to spend just to run a truck. Those are the things that I want you to see and look. Look, in the business world, if you don't make money, that's a hobby. You're in the wrong business. If you don't have a permit, if you don't have the money to get a permit, okay, to get the equipment, then you're not ready to be in business. And I support my brothers and sisters that wants to be legit. But tonight, I talk to many of them because I know them, and I say, look, what you're asking for it, we already have it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ojeda. Next, we have here Kristen Malapi, followed by Edwin Johnson. I don't see anybody here. And then Councilmember Ibarra, I think you had a speaker, or a note, or a letter, or something that you had received.
I got an email from one of my constituents, Sean. She says, Dear City Council, as a resident of the city, I wish to thank the San Marino Police Department and San Marino City Code Enforcement for checking the sidewalk vendors for the proper permits per our city ordinance. Curious as to the permitting process, I did some research on the pertinent government websites and found the following information, both in English and Spanish. 1, San Bernardino County Health Department provides a comprehensive checklist specifically for food carts. 2, the City of San Bernardino, under business registration, has sidewalk vending information sheets and permit forms. 3, the California Department of Tax and Fee Administration covers information for obtaining the required sales tax permit. I support entrepreneurship and applaud those individuals who have done the work involved to acquire and maintain the proper business permits and insurance to be sidewalk vendors. As a reminder, the residents and established business owners of this community collectively requested through the City Council to have the police and code enforcement contact the sidewalk vendors to make sure they are in compliance with our city ordinance. As such, residents and business owners alike, we need to show our support of the work being done by these departments so the City Council knows that as a community, we are in agreement that the sidewalk vendor or city ordinance will continue to be upheld. Sincerely, Sean. Thank you.
Thank you. And then it was brought to my attention that we have emailed public speakers, so I'm looking for the name on here of who to call. Is it Melba? And then we have notification at civil, I don't know what it is, and then, okay. Melba, please.
Hello, City Mayor, Council, city members, and general public. My name is Melba Parada, and I'm a business consultant with the Asociación Emprendedores. We are a 5013 non-profit organization with a mission to educate, motivate, empower, and develop the leadership skills and business acumen of the Hispanic community in the United States through the execution of 8 business models focused to guide the participants in the creation of their own individual business projects and micro-business. Our Emprendedores program has been recognized through the region as a runner-up program for cities, communities, and agencies by the country of Riverside, California during 2019. Our organization, Asociación Emprendedores, has received a recognition by the Assemblywoman Ms. Eloise Gomez-Reyes, Assembly Majority Leader of the 47th District, for our participation in educating more than 100 street vendors through the ETP SEED program on July 2021. We are the only 100% Spanish-speaking platform that provides this important service in the region through the counties of San Bernardino, Riverside, and Orange, having graduated as of Monday, July 11, 2022, more than 860 participants since 2016. We try to provide free service through our one-on-one business consulting. We support our entrepreneurs to achieve their dreams by building them on how to open and establish their micro business. We want to commend the city of San Bernardino, California, for the support we have received through the CVDG grant. This has allowed us to provide this important service to more than 80 residents by 2020. We, of course, want to continue receiving your support and continue providing our service in this great city. As you might know, our founder and president, Monica Robles, is also the co-chair for Uplift San Bernardino Small Business Resource Group, working along with Ms. Karen Suarez, the Uplift San Bernardino director, and other important partners. She is also part of the team of Recast Your City here in San Bernardino, working tirelessly to help revitalize the geographic section of this important city that is between East Street and Marshall Avenue. As you know, she is very passionate about helping the community at large as well as our monolingual and Spanish community in particular. My personal experience like a business consultant in Asociación Emprendedores and having seen so many entrepreneurs complete the permits, it is to understand that everyone can do it if they have the correct information and accompaniment. This is about, I think a lot of information is missing, and they don't have the correct leaders. Thank you.
Thank you. I have Miriam Nieto, followed by Freddie Gomez. I'm not sure if any of those two are not. They're not here. Okay. Freddie. Nobody stood up, so okay. We'll go ahead and we'll move to adjournment. The next joint.
Mayor Pro Tem,
yes,
we have one speaker.
Oh,
on.
okay. Please.
Art Rubio, if you can unmute your mic and address the council, you have 3 minutes. Arturo Rubio. Arturo Rubio. He's not responding. He's not responding.
Okay. The next joint regular meeting of the mayor and city council and the mayor of the city council acting as the successor agency to the redevelopment agency will be held on August 3rd, 2022 at the Feldheim Central Library located at 555 West 6th Street, San Bernardino, California, 92401. Closed session will begin at 5:30 p.m. and open session will begin at 7 p.m. Everyone have a good evening. Have a good night.